this. Thank
All
you,
right.
Ryan, for coming over.
Yeah, no problem.
You comfortable?
I am.
You
I
sure?
think I'm gonna get rid of this pillow.
Okay, yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Whatever you gotta do. So, um, it was cool. I had known your name
Mhm.
and I'd seen you in the running kind of community out there. And then when we were at Starbucks, Austin formally introduced me. I introduced myself to you that one day at
Yeah.
Dunn Brothers. I
Yeah.
think you guys were doing like a shoe testing or something that day.
Most likely. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of people there.
Oh, yeah. We had a Hoka
Yep.
day. Yeah.
But I didn't know anything about you until like Austin mentioned at Starbucks. So we can go any direction you want with this, but I
Mhm.
think it'd be cool for you to kind of just start where you're today, what you're doing. I think you're a trainer,
Mhm.
right? And I saw you're a brand ambassador for a couple things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we can kind of go through, your journey. And it looked like you played golf,
Mhm.
so that's kind of cool. I didn't know that. But you did talk about when we were at Starbucks, your journey, I'll call it, I think, like to sobriety,
Mhm. Yeah.
if that's something that you
Yeah.
want to explore.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
can do that. Just tell me where you grew up, what sports you played, how'd you get into running,
Yeah.
and then if you want to dive into the sobriety thing, I think it would be great
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the more and more I've been doing this, I'm trying to figure out like it's called, taking chances and why not you? Whether
Mhm.
you're going to bet on yourself or someone believed in you and took a chance on you. But I hear it a lot where, I mean, even on other podcasts, people are like, well, I took a chance and did something
Right.
amazing.
Right.
And what I'm getting to is there, like, what's the product of this show? And I think that people that listen to it, there is a theme of like athletic achievements, running, stuff like that. But when I just did that podcast with Michelle Hartwig, it stuck out to me. I was like, man, these are just regular folks
Yeah.
sharing their story about whether they decided to become an ultra runner or like Michelle, she didn't even start running until she was
I
40.
saw that. Yeah. That's
And
cool.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's the product. The product is not just about something physical, like achieving a
Yeah.
ultra
There's a lot
marathon.
more below the
There's a lot way
surface.
more below it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
And that's a lot. There's a lot in my story, and you talk
yeah,
about taking chances and maybe myself or someone believing in you, and that's kind of like that was awesome for me, and we'll get to that too.
yeah.
Yeah, Brian Doerrfeld grew up here in the Quad Cities.
Okay.
Went to Danforth West. Just your typical life. Played every sport under the sun. I've considered myself a very athletic person growing up. Sophomore year in high school, just took golf is pretty active in my family and took into the sport of golf. So I would say the two sports that I really obsessed on was snowboarding and
Okay.
golfing. Um, yeah, sophomore year, it just became quite the talent for me. I think I just had a little bit of the blend of like hard work
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of natural athleticism. Golf was a sport that you can definitely obsess on because you're never going to be good probably 2 days in a row. So you build a lot of character, and it's
Mm.
something that I'm still kind of learning to this day that like
Yeah.
don't let it control your life.
Yeah.
But and bad days happen, good days happen. Yeah. Junior year was my year that I kind of stood out the most, and some opportunities kind of started to open up for me for future. And took a scholarship at Blackhawk College, and freshman year fell down a pretty big flight of stairs and
Oh.
ripped my shoulder out of the socket pretty bad. Was pretty irresponsible about it. I really didn't do much. I really wasn't okay with like the idea of like getting surgery, maybe
Right.
sitting a year out, losing my scholarship, blah blah blah. And so was off the team for a little bit, kind of let that heal, and that's when we found bartending, and that's when kind of the athletic side of me kind of started to fade a little bit, and the profile of the bartender that was built for myself here in the Quad Cities was created, and the
Mm-hmm.
athlete kind of started to die,
Yeah.
and the nightlife really started to take over, and that is kind of when I first met people like Austin. So that kind of brought me to like 23. I started bartending at was kind of bouncing all over for a while, but I found myself down in the East Village for like probably close to a decade bartending, and yeah, it's a crazy life, crazy
Yeah.
life. So
Yeah, it's funny. Like the other thing I think about, and I've asked like Kurt Johnson, who's been on here, about, how did you get into basketball? I feel like golf, and this is just my outside opinion of it. Like my dad didn't play golf, but
yeah.
my grandfather did. But my grandfather lived in Florida, so there was never golf around us. I think we went with my dad one time, and I think we made it like two holes, and like he broke his club, and then that was it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like for golf, for you, was it, you said it was kind of in your family? Like I feel like it's
Yeah.
one of those sports where if you're a kid growing up and you don't see it around you, it's not like, oh, I'm gonna at 6 or 7, I'm gonna go play golf.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? It's a specific thing to me, I
Yeah.
believe. It comes
One,
from,
I mean, I have a 9-year-old daughter, and when I put a golf club in her hand, she's just kind of like,
yeah,
this could be fun right now, but like
yeah,
I'm gonna forget about it the second we get in the car.
yeah.
For me, my dad enjoys the game of golf still to this day. My uncle played at St. Ambrose
Okay.
and played some junior pro stuff, and I really kind of idolized him, looked up to him. We grew up right next to Emi's golf course,
Okay.
so that kind of turned into like my babysitter. I mean, back then a round of golf was like $6 for a kid. You
Yeah.
play sun up to sundown, so
Right.
wake up every morning. There's a $10 bill for me on, and I just walk down to the course, and my mom knows that I'm 2 blocks down the road. And um, yeah, when you're in that junior golf high school level and you're playing for a team, I mean it's basically a free sport. You can beat balls until your hands are bleeding, and I I saw just a lot of improvement my sophomore year, and like I said, I became pretty obsessed with it. I'll get down the road of I have a pretty obsessive attitude, obsessive kind of lifestyle. Like when I
Yeah.
find something, I might not
Yeah.
be into it for a long time, but when I'm into it, I'm
All in.
I'm all in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, that is what we talked about it on the podcast with Michelle about running, how it becomes like an
Hmm.
obsession, and the only way to get better is to keep running,
Yeah.
learning, absorbing, reading about it, watching YouTube videos about
Hmm.
it. And I remember just like getting immersed. She said, same thing I did. I got a subscription to Runner's World, when they used to actually, it was like, you got it delivered to your house and
Yeah.
stuff. I think they still have the physical copy, but everything seems like it's online. But that's another one, like an individual sport where it's just you out
It's
there.
all on
It's
you.
it's
Yeah.
all on you. And so
And
when
it's
that happens, I feel like it's a different mentality than a team sport. I played team sports,
mhm.
played football, and I talk about how like the greatest feeling as a teammate was when another teammate could make a good play. You're like,
Right.
oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And
Save me
then
up a little bit. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And then with golf or with running or even like swimming, both my girls, they were swimmers when they were little, and one ended up playing tennis and soccer, but it's individual.
Yeah, I mean, I was always my junior year. I was the two man on a 6-person team, and if our number one guy came in and had a bad round, like it is what it is. And sometimes our 6-man comes in with a even par. And it's like, hey, like we don't expect that out of you tomorrow, but like great job. But like, yeah,
Yeah,
I never was out in the course being like, man, I'm letting my teammates down today.
yeah.
Like I'm just trying to play the best that I
Playing the
can. But
best you can. Yeah,
it's such a character. Like I said, I'm still dealing with this today. I
yeah.
still try to play competitive golf occasionally here in the
I saw
QCAM
something
tour,
on there.
and I mean, the nights before a tournament, like the sleep is off, the nerves are higher, my heart rate's all over the
Yeah,
place. Like I'm an athlete till I
yeah,
die for sure. I definitely don't practice or play like I used to, so like my expectations are lower and my attitude on the course is a lot better. If I have a bad round, and that's what I'm really trying to do as a personal trainer. And like when I say a personal trainer, I coach a lot of youth athletes. Is just like get it in and get it out. If it's bad, forget about it. If it's
yeah,
good, try to recreate it and recreate it. And for me, if I could go back in time, I wish I could change how I acted because, like I say, golf is a 4-hour sport. Nowadays, it's like a 5-hour sport.
yeah,
It's between the ears so bad, and I can tell you a lot of players could never tell you what I shot back in those days, but they could probably tell you that I was a head case.
yeah,
And this guy got upset. This guy threw clubs. This guy, I'm
yeah,
like, guy wasn't fun to be around. It's like, I don't want to be remembered that. And I hope that my kids can learn off of like, obviously, every parent probably will make their kids do certain things to where they don't end up being like their mom or their dad, as far as like maybe in like negative things go. Um, but it's a learning experience. And like to be able to control your attitude for 4 hours in front of your peers, knowing that like, you're thinking that your sport is life or death, and you never lived an actual life. You don't have real stressors yet. Your biggest stress is the sport that you're currently playing. Like you don't have bills, you don't have rent. All you care about is, well, I don't want to play a bad round. Then tomorrow I got to walk around the hallways and people
yeah,
are going to be like, oh, great, terrible round yesterday. It's like, yeah, that's a huge anxiety for a youth athlete, and it's not a switch that you can just turn off where like a basketball game is over in 60 minutes. Like a round of golf is you hit a bad shot and now you have 6 minutes to go
yeah.
walk and think about it until
Right.
you hit your next one.
Yeah. I think that you're right. You mentioned, you kind of maybe have to, it's not a switch. You could kind of maybe grow out of it.
Yeah.
And what's crazy, I was just talking, so my youngest, Aaron, she played tennis, and I wish she had stuck with it because she was pretty good in
Yeah.
it. But we used to go to Life Fitness, and Dan Patrick was the teacher. And anyway, his son Nicholas, I don't know if you know Nicholas Patrick. He's like
Mhm.
a local tennis legend. But
Okay.
those kids when they were 6 years old, temper tantrum was like, that was it, like
Yeah.
smashing your
Yeah.
racket and all that kind of stuff. So I could see how, if you're stuck for 4 hours, you have to process it. I remember like again going back to like when my kids were little, it was how to teach your kid to deal with that stress.
Right.
If you're not a teacher or a psychologist, it's not like they just give you this playbook and say,
Hey,
okay,
do
hey,
this.
do
Yeah.
this, and this is going
Yeah.
to work for your kid.
Yeah.
So I wonder how many kids fall into that trap of they never had that switch go off and grew out
Yeah.
of it,
And like
and you see guys on TV doing it,
yeah, and like
golfers.
as a golfer, like you go to a football game and you see a tight end that maybe had an interception in front of him and he goes to the sideline, he slams his helmet down. It's like, you know what? I support that release sometimes because like, hey, you know
You
what?
gotta, yeah,
Get it out of you. And me being someone that promotes like sobriety and like suicide prevention, it's like, hey, if you're pissed, like find a way to release it and don't keep that all inside. Now on a golf course, like it's a little different.
yeah,
Like, hey, it's like
right,
it's respect the ground that you're on, and if
yeah,
you hit a bad shot, like don't take it out on the
rip the
ground in front
turf
of
on,
you. Yeah.
yeah,
So like
yeah,
it's way more than just a physical sport and like a scoreboard. It is like there's a lot of personality in it. And now being 37 years old, I played in the QCM this past weekend at Short Hills and shot the worst 9 holes of my entire life of competitive golf and made sure that I didn't ruin the round for the people around me. And then I went 39, 38, 38 and got it back together. And that's something that would have never happened as a youth golfer or college golfer. I wouldn't have showed up the next day. If
yeah,
I would have turned in that scorecard as a 19-year-old, I would have been like, I won't see you tomorrow.
yeah,
And I would have been okay with quitting. I'm not okay with that now. I do some physical sports now to where it's like, hey, like an ultra. It's like, hey, if you physically can't keep going, it's probably best to maybe drop out. But in a round of golf, I was like, hey, you know what? Show up tomorrow, have fun, and make the best of it. And I did, and I had a great round, one of the best rounds I played in a while. And you won't you won't ever come across those situations if you don't take chances
yeah.
and not give up on yourself. So at the end of the day, the guys I played with did not care about my scorecard. We had a good time. We had some laughs. I played a decent back nine, and none of those. I mean, that's the thoughts that I thought people were thinking, or the conversations that we're having
Yeah,
when I was not around. Like they're not happening. Like they don't
yeah,
care. They care about your personality. They care about the round of golf, that the experience that you got, and that's something I would have wished I could have taken back to my high school, college days. And like, hey, just more enjoy the experiences with your teammates and the travel that you get to do. We get to go play so many cool courses, and I obsessed on everything that was going in the wrong direction
oh
and
yeah,
things that weren't controllable.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's you hit it right there. I mean, I've the focus on negativity is like gravity.
Hmm.
You could do nine things amazing, but one thing wrong,
Yeah.
and either you're going to focus on that, which is hard to kind of transition to being a little more positive and thinking positive, but other people do it at work,
Right.
in wherever else in your life. They're
Hmm.
like, oh, you messed up one time.
Yeah.
Well, what about the
What about
thousand
the yeah,
times that I
yeah.
didn't, right?
And that's a really, and we'll probably get to that point too, but that's something I really talk about when people, I get addressed a lot, even 4 or 5 years down the road, just having coffee with people talking about like trying to quit drinking or trying to quit something or trying to just not be in the place that you don't want to be anymore.
Yeah.
And right off the bat, just listen to them, I can tell, I hear about their the chances they've taken and like the progress they've made. Like, oh, I used to drink 28 days out of the month, and in January I only drank 15. And but I'm like, well, the way you told me that story is that you didn't acknowledge the 15 good days. You're only obsessing on
The
the
ones
bad
you did,
days, and
yeah.
those bad days are what's going to pull you back. And that these massive changes aren't going to happen in a month, and maybe not happen in a year. I didn't wake up one day and just had this ability to just drink all the alcohol behind the bar. Like, that took a lot of time.
Right.
So to go the opposite direction is also going to take like time that you need to respect and give yourself the credit when credit is due. And when bad days happen, just know that's life. So
Yeah, I think I can draw like a lot of parallels to what you were just talking about to like an ultra. If you're running for 50 miles, a lot of stuff's going to go wrong.
mhm.
You can be the most positive guy in the whole world, but shit's going to
Yeah,
happen.
yeah,
So it's how you deal with it and how you can kind of like level it out, right? There's always going to be those highs and lows, but kind of leveling it out. Don't get too excited. Don't get
Hmm.
too down. And then, the thing about the sobriety one, like you said, like 15 days that you didn't drink and versus like focusing on something negative about
Right,
it,
right,
as opposed to, I think a lot of people, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't like to take credit for like and sit there and go rah rah look at me type stuff.
right.
But in reality is that if you don't, who else,
Who's going to
who's
then?
going
Yeah,
to,
yeah,
right? You got to be your own champion sometimes. And it's
yeah. When I
not being
see,
conceited or selfish,
right.
you
Yeah,
know?
and honestly, I even kind of had that talk with a coach at our gym. Was like, I'm really trying to mold my social media around this second chance lifestyle. And sometimes it does look like I'm kind of tooting my own horn. I go, but I also have posts of showing you when I was like kind of licking the floor of rock bottom. And I think it's easy for me to move on with life if I give that information out. Say, hey man, I've been on both sides. You're not going to trump me. Your stories are going to be relatable on both sides. And I want you to know that there is sunlight on the other side of
Yeah.
this tunnel. And you gotta, but I want to kind of hopefully give you guys some steps of how to get there and just give yourself some damn credit. Like you just gotta be able to give yourself some damn credit. It's like when I see people talk about like, oh, like in my bartending days, like, oh, I'm gonna do sober October, and I can see in this person's eyes, I'm like, you're really trying to cut back on this drinking thing, and we don't make as the lifestyle that we're living in this bar industry, we don't make this easy for you. If anything, we make
Yeah,
it
right.
completely
It's
harder.
encouraging. Yeah.
And you'll see like, oh, I made it to day 12, and then like, yeah, but I know you as someone that comes to happy hour every day. Like you went 12 days without drinking and then bam, you quit on yourself. I'm like, and then you're like, well, I quit, so like what's the point of going the rest of the month? I'm like, I don't believe in that anymore. And that's like when people, it's like if you don't acknowledge those 12 great days and that you have the ability to do it, fine, so what? It was your best friend's birthday last night and you went out and you had some drinks, like, but you probably got to see the result of what it was like to be maybe that much hungover because you have had 12 days of no drinking, and you
Yeah.
wake up and you're like, hey man, I wish I wouldn't have done that. But you're leaning in the right direction. Sometimes you need a little bit of a slap in the face when you're trying to make this road to not necessarily recovery, but just like living a healthier lifestyle. That
Right.
there's going to be some speed bumps. It's not, you don't just get to turn this off. Because if you were able to just turn it off, and we wouldn't even be having this conversation. And so when people don't acknowledge like the goods, and then
Hmm.
yeah, you had to slip up. Who cares? Like it is what it is. Like stop counting the days. Just counting the fact that you're going in the right direction. Don't obsess on being like, okay, day one, I grounded myself. Day one, day two, I grounded myself. It's like just slowly, slowly, slowly create new habits. And this is coming from someone that literally had to go into my job, be like, hey, I can't bartend anymore. I need to quit this, or like I'm not going to be on this earth for much longer. Um, Locked myself in my apartment, locked myself in my gym, and for 60 days was just like I had to do it that way because I come from a very competitive, obsessive background. I'm like, in order for me to get better without having to probably go to like medical treatment, I have to lock myself away from everybody, turn the phone off. And my best friend at that time, and still best friend to this day, owned a gym, and he's like, "Come to me, let's work on this." But the best thing I ever could have done was just made it public. I made it public. I was like, "Hey, this isn't a joke. I
Yeah.
understand that being a bartender, I'm the life of the party, but at 2 a.m. when you guys all go home, like this is not in a good place, and I need to do something." And yeah, if I could have gone back in time, same thing there. I'm like, I wish I would have been a little bit more mild with it and took some baby steps and slowly progress, other than just like turned into this person that like shut the lights off and just sat in a corner for
Hmm.
60 days. But it did slowly get me out of what I didn't want to be in anymore. So
So let's back up to the part where you were in college and you said that when you got hurt, you started bartending.
mhm.
And was that when you started drinking, or did you
Yeah,
drink before
I
that? Like,
wouldn't
when did the
say
level of the drinking kind of?
yeah. So like I said, alcohol is going to enhance whatever kind of mood you're in, I think. And when I found bartending, I loved it. I mean, I was working at Kilkenny's, the office, and just so we know, I loved every bartending job I ever had. So no one's gonna get thrown on the bus. Everything is completely on me. I bartend at 11th Street Precinct, the Stockade. I mean, I bartend at places that people really love to go and have a good time.
Yeah.
And I think as a male in a more female employed environment, like I thought I brought a lot of fun to the table. But I mean, you're in a building that holds 60 to 100 people. 50 of those people want to come in, they want to see you, and they want to buy you a shot, and they think
Oh,
they're the
yeah.
only one, and they're like, all right, well, I have to do this with you and 50 other people from
Right.
7 to 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And you just become immune to that. My body just eventually learned how to process this every single day. And my way of life was go somewhere an hour early, have a couple drinks, have a shot with that bartender, and then go to work. And then probably every 15 minutes, 20 minutes, someone's like, "Hey, let's do a shot." Like, or you just get bored during work. Like you look at the other bartender, like, "Should we do a shot?" Like, and that just became the volume. But I was also in a very good mood. My life was very stress free. I didn't have anything that was really holding me down. Alcohol didn't play a negative effect on my brain or my personality or my emotions. I wasn't like a drinker or a driver. I was always like a walk away. I wasn't putting myself in danger. Um, and then, yeah, so about 26, I moved out to Breckenridge, Colorado.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So, and that was honestly kind of just I was kind of getting a little bit, this is when the burnout for bartending. So I'm like 5 years into bartending. And I'm probably starting to get a little burnout. And, I took a position bartending at a sports bar out in Breckenridge, and I went out there and had like the time of my life. Like, wasn't trying to meet a lot of people, was trying to
Hmm.
just kind of live a low lifestyle, like just not a lot of people. And I snowboarded 111 days in a row, and yeah, that was a phenomenal snow season that year. I bartended every night and rode every day. And then in 2015, I came back home and went right back to it. Just went right back to my old ways. Was bartending all the time. Um, had a daughter. I have a daughter. I have a beautiful 9-year-old daughter that I have all the time, and she is another big reason why I'm
Yeah.
living the life that I am,
Hmm.
which is great. But yeah, but then I would have to say it turned into more bar management and part bar ownership and putting a lot more weight on my shoulders and not allowing, and again, come from a very athletic obsessive, I want to take the wins, I want to take the losses, and I started managing a couple bars that were kind of struggling to stay open, and we were entering that COVID window too. And I just put a lot of stress on myself, and that's when life turned into like, this isn't a passion. This isn't like a side gig anymore for me. Like
Yeah.
this is my life.
Yeah.
I have to be here at 7 in the morning, do orders. I'm here at midnight, closing the bar down. Um, I'm starting to drink for all the wrong reasons, and I'm finding any window of opportunity I can to like go sit at a bar that no one's gonna know me, just because I want to de-stress from the environment that I'm in of all the people, but like it's not like, oh, I want to go for a jog. I want to go for a bike ride. Like, oh, I want to go sit at a bar somewhere else where I can just look at a Blackhawks game and
Yeah.
no one will talk to me. And this is when I kind of started to notice, like, especially like looking in the mirror, I was like, this is going the wrong
Hmm.
direction. And that's when I started kind of, I wouldn't say I was that kind of ultra person, but I was starting to get jealous of in like 2019, 2020, I was really starting to get jealous of my friends that were my age that were still like very active, like active CrossFitters
Yeah.
or ultra runners or just fast like triathletes. And
Hmm.
when you're in a toxic bar style lifestyle, like you make yourself feel better in your brain by talking crap about those kind of people, like, oh, CrossFit's stupid, or oh,
Yeah. Right.
did you run a million miles a
Yeah.
day? When deep down it's like, I wish I was that person that
Yeah.
ran a million miles today. So yeah, that kind of brought me to, I mean, like I say, I bartended all of my 20s. I'm 37 and I bartended until I was about 32, 31. Yeah. But that just shows you what the alcohol did. The alcohol built this
Hmm.
fun be around guy. I'm doing this 5 nights a week. I love it. I'll do it every day, all day. And then eventually, like my mindset around it, like really changed, and I wasn't happy anymore. But the alcohol, so eventually, the alcohol just turned the switch. Like, all right, well, this isn't fun. We're not gonna make the fun more fun. We're gonna make the bad more bad.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of when Austin kind of started there. That's when, like, I think maybe 2018 was maybe when he started quitting drinking and all that stuff. And
Yeah. It's 7 years this year.
yeah,
So yeah, 2018.
yeah,
I think it was that year that he decided to change one for another,
hmm,
and running became the
yeah,
thing.
yeah. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, I think, I mean, not unfortunately, but I think for people like him and I, it's not just like, well, I'm gonna quit drinking and I'm gonna start like I'm gonna read a book every day, or I'm gonna go to the Y and walk around the
Yeah.
track. Like, no, we are very aggressively into this thing.
Yeah.
We need to find something that is going to be like, you're not going to be good at this, but you could
You're gonna be
be,
all
yeah,
in.
yeah, you could
Yeah.
be all in. And
One
you
th
can't half-ass this thing.
yeah.
You don't just half-ass the Leadville 100.
Right.
Like,
One thing you mentioned earlier, and I think you had mentioned rock bottom, and
Hmm.
we had a friend. His name was David Clark. I don't know if you know David Clark,
What's it
the
go?
name, but you should check him out. Like he's written two books. He passed away, but um, he was a recovering alcoholic, drug addict. But he had built businesses. He had been to the top, the highest of highs or whatever,
Yeah,
and then the super lows. He weighed like 310 pounds, and then he trained and ran Leadville. And he did Badwater. I mean, he's done like all
yeah,
this stuff. But he was on a podcast and he said, "Look, when people talk about they hit rock bottom, he's like, that's bullshit. He's like, rock bottom is you're dead.
right, right,
You know what I mean? You made it almost to that point where you were, like, I don't know. Some
yeah,
people don't get out of that.
right.
But
For me, I would say 22, 23, 24, 25, my age. I lost a friend every year to suicide, to a drunk driving accident. One was an overdose. I mean,
yeah,
yeah, and it was I think it was a slow overdose. And this one hit hard. This was a very close friend to me, but we saw it coming. And same thing. And then the latest suicide was same thing. Like you weren't going to talk this person out of it, and we were just every day that you see the phone ring from that one person, you're like, I know it's on the other end of this phone call.
yeah,
And then to sit back and see, I mean, I'm 37. This was almost 10 years ago, 8 years ago. Um, to see their mothers today is
yeah,
the one thing where I was strong enough to not see that rock bottom, we'll call it. Um, because I just couldn't put my parents through that and to see the life that they have to live now. And just you just hear it in their voice. It's like they almost like struggle talking to people,
yeah,
and I don't blame them. I don't know what I would do if my daughter wasn't here. But for me, it was the fact that um, I had to see it firsthand. I was going to a funeral every
yeah,
8 months for a
yeah,
24-year-old, for a 25-year-old, and and if you look through that person's social media, I mean, they're smiling ear to ear in every photo. They're
yeah.
hugging. They look like you would never see that. And
Hmm.
I just read a post a couple days ago, and the same thing to talk about and it's a very Robin Williams style post where it's just like the person that usually makes you feel the best probably doesn't
Struggling.
is struggling.
Yeah,
And so for me, it was the fact that I had a daughter. I knew I 2020 was rough for me, and I probably won't go down the road of how I got to that mindset. It's a little more personal,
hmm, yeah,
um, and I've overcame that. And but it was just an anchor. It was an anchor in my brain, and just living in a downtown apartment, I had access to the roof, and I mean, I spent every single night during COVID just walking on that roof, just thinking like I'd wake up a lot easier tomorrow if I wasn't here. And that was a short-lived time frame. And I think between having a daughter and just having a great relationship with my family, I'm like, there's just no way I could put them
yeah,
through that. I'm like, it's not as bad, I think. And I at least had the strength to kind of look back at every sort of little speed bump I had in life. I'm like, but look, he got out of it. Look, he
yeah,
got out of it. Look, he got out of it. And then I say, you look at these mothers and these fathers of these parents that had a child kill
hmm,
themselves, and it's just like that will never go away.
yeah,
And even though I'm taking the short route out, like now I just made the rest of their life so hard. Um, so yeah, I mean I don't really go down the suicide route that much. And I wish I did. I wish I was able to have a better outlet of letting people know that, hey, like just talk, get it off your chest, call
yeah,
somebody, talk to somebody. Don't feel like don't you're not alone. There are so many people out there that look like they're trying to promote this happy lifestyle, and I can promise you, there's at least 2 to 3 days a week where they're just like, God, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this, and that's just life. I mean, that's just life.
yeah.
So,
But do you think it has to like? So I think I'll draw another parallel to kind of running is like that people are afraid to ask for help.
hmm
You know,
or starting over.
or starting
Yeah.
over,
Like
right?
even though I hated the lifestyle I had, I hated it. I would lay in bed every single night knowing that I drank too much, that tomorrow's going to be compromised.
Hard, yeah,
But that was a routine though. I'd work long enough to where my hangover would fade away, and I was able to just repeat it. I didn't want to do it, but it was easy and it
hmm,
was right there accessible in my hands. And who wants to go into a gym and not know anybody? Who wants to go to a group
yeah,
run and be like, well, I'm probably not
yeah,
going to be able to keep up with these guys.
yeah,
And those are mindsets that if I would have been able to been exposed to it or put myself in it, I probably would have never even gone down the road that I did, because I walk into a gym the first day and they're like, "What's up, man?"
yeah,
Like, "Oh, you can't pick that up? Well, just pick this up." Like, "Oh, you want to take a break? I'll take a break with you." Like, you go to a run club, like, oh, like, you know
Yeah.
what, I'm just gonna walk a couple miles. Does anyone just want to walk? Like those people are out there and no one cares about your ability or your speed. They just care that like talk to me.
Yeah.
And then you join these run clubs and you join these gyms and you find out that everyone has a story that's probably pretty similar to you that got them to to that front door and they walked in it. And I just encourage people to, if you're having any doubt about not liking what you're doing or you want to try something, like go try it. Go try it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get moving, right? Like just
Yeah.
do something moving, walk.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things if like I've coached runners before and that have been non-runners to runners and it starts with walking. Just get out there and move,
Mhm.
right? Everybody can walk around the block. And then it becomes like, okay, walk for 15 minutes, walk for 30 minutes, do that 5 times a week before you even think about
Yeah.
running a mile. If you don't run or you're just getting started. But going back to the joining a group and being scared, it's like Michelle and I talked about it. I think a couple other people I talked about it where they they see this group like Fleet Feet, right? The running club.
Mhm.
You're part of it.
Yeah. I
So
coach for Fleet.
yeah, so you see that, and even as a runner, I'm like, well, I mean, the Running Wild elite guys, like I'm not gonna be able to run with them and all that kind of stuff. And then I'm a runner, and it's like I can get it from their perspective. But I will say, and I've said it a million times, you want to run with us, come run with us, because there's every level
Mhm.
of runner out there. We're not going to leave you behind.
Right.
Even if you see like we're running, if you come and you aren't running 9-minute miles or 10-minute miles, that's
You can't
okay.
come. Yeah. Yeah.
No,
No,
it's
not the
okay, right?
case. Yeah.
And the gym thing too, I get it, right? Like that's another one, the gym community, it is very opening and
Right.
I think that people are kind of reluctant to be like, oh, I'm intimidated by going there. There's all these muscle heads and stuff
Right.
like that.
It's just,
There are some gyms
yeah.
like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
without a doubt. Don't join that one,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
and I'd say since day one, I've been coaching group classes, and I've always coached in an environment to where the movements were never that technical. So I've been able to look at someone and be like, "Hey, man, don't worry about it. We're gonna find something you can do. I've been in your shoes. Let's be consistently good, then like occasionally great, and then maybe hurt yourself.
Yeah,
And
right.
then maybe I don't see you because you obsessed on it for 5 days and you overdid it,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
now all of
yeah.
a sudden you haven't been here for a month.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that you see. I saw a lot of, and I was a very big victim of that too, where I was like, oh, I'm 25-year-old bartender. Like, I need to have a gym membership. And I would go to the gym and I had no idea what I was doing. I would bench press every single time and I would just blow myself up. And then I take an 8 day off.
Yeah.
And now when I work out, I mean, every Monday on my calendar, I mean, I write my own programming, but it just says be consistently good. So, I mean, every single day is the exact same. And I just kind of progressively get a little higher. And then I take about a week off and then I progressively get a little higher. And I know at the end of the day, it's going to keep this fun. I'm going to be in a healthy environment and, I'm not going to hurt myself. But I'm always going to have the ability to show up the next day.
Yeah.
And I think people are just like, oh man, I haven't been in the gym in 6 months. And then all of a sudden, like, oh, I went to the gym 5 days in a row. I'm like, is there going to be a sixth one?
Yeah.
Or are we
Yeah.
overdoing it? Are we burning like, don't burn the stick on both ends, basically
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say. And, and that's why I love coaching group classes. It's just like, hey, like, let's just have fun today. Let's put
Yeah.
yourself in a place where we're moving your body and we hope that I can put you in a place where you work hard and I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah. I didn't come up with this, but I used to, like 25 years ago, heard don't do too much, too soon, and too fast.
Yeah, too fast. Yeah.
And I think runners that get into it, they start,
Especially running.
yeah,
Yeah.
they start doing too fast of runs, too soon, like, and just too much.
Yeah.
It's overtrained, and then you get hurt, and then you say this sucks,
Yeah.
right? I think we were talking about it with Michelle Hartwig about pacing too. That was another one where, again, I think that if you didn't run or you ran like the required stuff in high school, 600 or whatever, we used to have to run like the 400 or 600 in like PE,
Mhm.
and that's an all-out sprint. And so people get that in their head, like that's how
That's
fast you
running.
guys are
Yeah.
running for 20 miles. Like, no, no,
Yeah.
no, no, no.
No.
So wait, let me ask you. So, all right, the bartending thing, then you just stopped drinking. And then when did you make that transition to like you wanted to coach or become a trainer or running?
Just by being vocal. So February 12th, 2021 was the last day I drank. Um, went into my office, and at that time I was working a couple jobs, and
Okay.
I went into one of my offices and I just said, "Hey man, like I'm done," and had nothing but support from those gentlemen, and they're like, "Whatever you need," and they floated me some cash to like because it was just like a cold turkey quit. I was like, I just can't do this anymore. I hate looking at myself, blah blah blah. And so I went to Phoenix and saw a buddy for a week and kind of told him like 4 or 5 days, and was in a good place. Just went hiking. He basically just dropped me off every morning. This was pretty like Austin Chesney, like enthused, like, hey man, like get out of here, like go,
Yeah.
just go hike a mountain.
Yeah.
Like I think the reason why, and I was always very good friends with Phil Young and the Fleet Feet family, and I was always at that Wednesday night run club,
Yep.
and the bartender personality has never left me. Like I like being social, and I mean I definitely like my alone time, but like when I'm in that environment, I want to make sure that everyone feels like, God, it's such an elevated day because he was here, and just being an athlete. So yeah, 2 months down the road, I was at Backwater CrossFit at that time, and Seth Ross, the owner, he's just like, dude, just become a trainer and just coach here, and you're in the running environment. Like we know that you can run,
Hmm.
and I was just like what kind of went way back onto like the fear of change. I was like, man, only all I've created for myself is this decade reputation of this crazy bartender that now had a drinking problem. And it's like, who's gonna take general fitness advice from a guy 6 months down the road? And I was wrong. And
Yeah.
he goes, they don't care about your knowledge, they care about the fact that you can make them comfortable. And he
Yeah.
was spot on.
Yeah.
And so I spent about Louis Liao from the YMCA. He put me in touch with a really good certification program, and it was very affordable, and had a lot of support from my family, and got my certification to be a personal trainer, and just had clients right off the bat. And then the one thing that really changed for me is that when I was a pretty big alcoholic and I was managing bars and I was just letting every problem just live right in the front of my head, was I had to fix things in like 30 seconds. I was like, whatever just present itself, I'm going to put my entire life on hold, and this has to be fixed. Whether even I have the ability to fix it or not, I'm going to hyper focus on it. And the way that my life has definitely changed now is I don't go search for clients. I don't hound people. I don't try to force things. I just naturally just kind of let things fall in my
Hmm.
lap, and I put time into them when I need to put time into them. And when it's time to step away from it, I'm able to step, like being a dad. I love being present at soccer games and stuff like that. And I just think the person that I am, I think someone would maybe enjoy working with a trainer that's like, hey man, this guy isn't like an absolute since day one been a freak of nature
Yeah.
trainer
Yeah. Yeah.
athlete,
Yeah.
and he has no idea that I eat junk food, or
Yeah. Right.
I'm depressed all the time, or maybe I
Right.
had like personal man like a miscarriage or something like that. Like I mean any sort of personal matter. Like, hey man, I can relate to you. And we're gonna move our body, and I'm gonna make sure you move your body in a way to where like I'm gonna see you tomorrow. I'm gonna see you tomorrow. I'm gonna tell you to enjoy your weekend. And I'll see you on Monday, but I'm going to build your week up to where maybe you used to overdo it on your weekends, but now we're going to see this Monday through Friday progress, and maybe you're going to learn some self-control. Like, hey, you
Hmm.
know what? I am going to go to the Hawkeye game, but like I'm going to take some NAs with me, and maybe I have a couple beers, but because you're seeing the progress, and you don't
Right.
want to lose that,
Yeah.
compared to like, nope, I can't go to a Hawkeye game, I can't walk out the
Right.
door,
Right.
I'm going to
Yeah.
put my kids to bed at 7 o'clock, and we're going to bed because I just can't, I don't want to do this anymore. It's like create new habits, but like learn to enjoy your life, and
Yeah.
learn enjoy what you have, and know that it's just not going to be, the mirror's not going to change in a day, the scale's not going to change in the day, but this can change real quick if you're around the right people. So yeah, started training, and then just randomly at a golf outing. My buddy Tim O'Neill, he's the track coach for Assumption, and his partner, he had the Lago Marcinos Coco Bino
Oh yeah.
5K,
Yep.
the Easter Egg Scramble 5K, and they were just looking for a new race director. And he approached me with an opportunity to take over the races. They're now the City Spring Classic, Easter 5K, and the Village Zombie Run. So the last 4 years, I've been a race director. Another thing just kind of fell into my lap. And then at that exact same time, Phil and his wife Jackie kind of approached me, like, hey, we could use some little more elevated like pace leaders or some
Yeah. Yeah.
coaches,
Yep.
to just be more present, because they were growing. Fleet Feet was growing as
Yeah.
a local business now, and so I took that on, and they put some cash in my, and they were just helping me. They knew my story. There's
Yeah.
nothing in that about me that they didn't know, and they allowed me to elevate my brand, we'll call it, to where I didn't have to obsess on like having to have this really great month of personal training. It's like, no, I've got some revenue coming in from the races, and it's just by being patient, by just being myself, not trying to be this fake happy bartender. Um, yeah, that's really about it. Just kind of just learn as I went. I was under a good roof at Backwater, and I shadowed a ton of other PT sessions, and just
Yeah.
kind of learned as I didn't I'm not a by the book kind of personal trainer. I'm a, like, hey, what do you want to do? Like,
Yeah.
what are you weak on? Like, what can we work on? Do you want it to be endurance? Do you want to be strength? And then I'll learn what I can teach you that'll help you. But like, we're not going to do this like, all right, this is your Monday book. This is my personal trainer book. Like,
Yeah.
for me, that's just not my style.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. There's a bunch of stuff that you said that got me like triggered into like thinking about the sacrifice part of it. Like you don't have to be on 24 hours
Mm-mm.
a day for this change to happen. I think that the most successful, we'll call it diets, are the ones where it's like you said, you're not going to gain 20 pounds in one meal,
Right.
right? And you're not going to take off 20 pounds in one day.
Right.
So if you have that expectation set from a coach and a trainer that, hey, you're in it for the long haul. It's
Mm.
not a, one day transformation.
Mm.
I think that's a huge thing. We just, my wife and I, because through her work, we get to like join like three gyms, and it's the Betplex Quad City Performance. I don't know if you know
Yeah.
those guys.
Yeah.
And so the Quad City Performance came with like 4 or 5 personal training sessions, and I did it. And I've been lifting weights since high school, like even like 13 years old on,
Yeah.
and for football and all that kind of stuff. But the trainer, one kid said, "Hey, if you were to have a personal trainer, what would you want out of that?" And I said, for me, accountability.
Hmm.
Because I could, like you said, you might not be the best technical learning and all that kind of stuff, or what to do and all that, but as far as the accountability thing, that's huge for me.
Yeah.
Like I'll go to the gym and work out now, and I only go twice a week, and I just lift heavy. But if I was not doing like low reps, I would forget to count. I'd be like,
Right.
what am I doing?
Right.
3 sets of 15? What number am I on? I don't know. Just rack it. You know what I mean? But the trainer, I like the fact that when I was working out with them, they were like, all right, we're going to do this exercise. I want this, this, this. So for me, that would be the only reason I would get a personal trainer
Yeah.
for, is for the accountability.
Yeah. And like sometimes like you might do an hour of a session with a trainer and you're like, you know what, I probably could have done that by myself. But like I do a lot of online programming now and but there's just sometimes where I say things to a client and it just like it hits their brain like I would have never thought about that. Like you
Yeah.
said, you lift 2 days a week and you lift heavy. You lift heavy because you're a runner. Like you put in your high reps on your feet.
Yeah.
So going to the gym and building a solid, strong foundation. I see a
Yeah.
lot of runners like, well, I went to the gym and I did 100 box step ups. I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, you also ran the exact. I mean, you ran that many steps yesterday too.
Right.
Like, I'm like, go lift heavy. Go do some 2 by 3 reps. Go do some three by
Yeah.
five reps. Lift some heavy weight, and you need someone to tell you to pick up something heavy.
Yeah.
And for most people, yeah, they do. That's not out of the ordinary. So.
So with you got the personal training
Mhm.
certificate or certification rather. What about the running part of it? Was that just like osmosis? Like did you just learn um to
I mean, I
be
was. I was your weekend 5K, or even
okay.
even when I was drinking all the time. Like I was your Tuesday, I'll run a few miles. Friday, I'll run a few miles. I'll run late at night after I get off work sometimes. But yeah, then I don't know. I really leaned into the community. For
Yeah.
me, like we said, we go
Yeah.
back to I
Yep.
leaned into wherever there's a group run, I'm going.
Yeah.
1000%. This is probably the most important thing I'll ever say in this podcast is if and this is coming from someone that had more of a problem, not just a lifestyle change. I had a problem. And if I drank from 6 to 10 o'clock, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whatever, you have to replace those hours. Like if there's something that you're addicted to and that you don't want to do it and you spend these hours doing it,
Mm-hmm.
what are you going to do at that time? Because like idle
Yeah.
hands are the devil's playground. And if you're just sitting there and you got maybe a significant other that is going to crack a bottle of wine and you got buddies that live next door, they're out in their garage watching a hockey game and they've got beers flowing, like you sitting in your house, you're just going to punish yourself.
Yeah.
So find something that you're going to be terrible at, that you might be interested in, and just go try to do it. Um, Judgment is just a terrible thing. Just being afraid of like being judged or like, oh, look at this guy over here. He's trying to teach himself the guitar. It's like, well, I'm trying not to drink. And it's like, but I don't need to tell you that. And for me, it was just like, there's a group run on Tuesday. There's a group run on Wednesday. There's a group run on Thursday. And for me, again, not tooting my own horn, but I just had a lot of athleticism. And um, even during my drinking days, I was playing rec league ice hockey. I was playing deck hockey. I was playing softball. I mean, I was still moving my body
Hmm.
in a pretty athletic way. I'm sure my joints didn't enjoy the dehydrated sports I was putting myself through.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing one thing I've obsessed on since I've quit is like hydration and nutrition and fuel. And I still eat plenty of crap food here and there, but like, I'm the most hydrated person you probably ever meet, and just I don't know, just taking care of myself better. Um, but yeah, and then running was my thing. I was never going to be, I was at a CrossFit facility, and the shoulder issue put me in a very limiting space. So I was like, I'm going to do the Tuesday class because it's conditioning, and I'm going to show these
Hmm.
guys I can move. And
Yeah.
then on Wednesday, when it's all very extreme CrossFit, I'm gonna go to the run club.
Yeah.
So I was constantly kind of putting myself in areas to get myself better at being a conditioning athlete. Um, so I brought running resources to a CrossFit gym where I was teaching people more about running, and so like I never like was inspired to be like more of like a running coach, but it just kind of fell in my lap because the people I was around at the gym
Hmm.
wanted some help, and the people I was running with were gonna make me better at running. So starting to run more with like Phil and some of the guys that are a little bit more on the quicker end. And like, yeah, I would occasionally ask the guys from running wild, I'm like, hey, like your easy pace is like a pretty hard pace. Would you guys mind if I jumped in on some of your morning
Yeah.
runs? Like I'd like to maybe get down to like that high 6 minute mile pace for like a 7 mile run. Like it's just gotta ask. The worst they
Yeah.
can say is no.
Right. And they
And
probably
they're not
won't.
going to say
Right.
no. And then like this switch of doing stuff at 5 a.m. and like
Yeah.
and I wish I could give it to people because like I was never a morning person. Like I mean, for a decade of my life, I'm going to bed at 5 o'clock in the morning. So getting up at 4 a.m. And lacing it up and meeting people at Dunn Brothers and then like getting done at 6:30 in the morning and having a cup of coffee on the patio and like
It's the
you
best.
couldn't
Yeah.
pay me to be in a bad mood right now.
Yeah.
There's nothing I could watch my car get T-boned by a dumpster truck right now and I'm like,
Right.
it'll
Yeah.
it'll
No
be
big deal.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the emotions, like the adrenaline, I mean, everything that goes through like an early, not just early morning run, but like feeling like no one can take this from me. Nothing matters right now. And that goes a long ways. But replacing the time with what you don't want to do anymore is super crucial. Super crucial.
You said a word that reminded me of the conversation we had at Starbucks, and it was the judgment.
Hmm.
And I feel like, there was a lot of alcohol in my family growing up, and it was just kind of like one of those deals where it was like embarrassing,
Hmm.
you know. But what you and I were talking about, and I heard it on a podcast, was how even when I was younger in college, if I didn't want to drink, all my friends gave me the hardest time.
Hmm.
They'd be like, "Don't be a fucking pussy,"
Yeah.
and you're like, "Wait a second." It's I think I was saying how like if you stop doing heroin, they're not going to sit there and go, "Oh, you need to
Yeah.
keep doing heroin or
Yeah.
you're
I
out in
want to go
public."
down this road.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? This
Yeah.
is this is the one thing to me that was like I just looked at it like I used to be early for everything at work and they'd make fun of me for being early and I'd be like,
Yeah.
"You guys are what are you talking about?" So the whole I don't know what you want to call it, but that attitude towards people that decide not to drink. Well, I mean, you
And
tell me
I
that
think the
whole
judgment, like
judgment
the
part of
judgment
it.
now, I see, I'm like, when someone comes to me and they ask me about like, are you still not drinking? I can feel that you're asking me the question, but you're also judging yourself probably at this time.
Right.
And that's okay. Like you live your life. Like I made changes. I didn't expect anybody to follow me when I made those changes, but I'll occasionally play at a golf outing or I'll occasionally go out to like bars that I know that I'm going to get respected by the bartenders. It's like, hey, if I didn't want to be here, I wouldn't come here, but I want to watch a game with my parents. Like I can drink NAs here and I'm
Yeah.
gonna have a good time. You come talk to me. And people will be like, "Hey, are you still not drinking?" I'm like, "Why are your hands out like
Yeah.
this? Like,
Yeah.
why are you treating me like I'm battling a
Right.
disease?" I'm like, "I was at one time, but why are you labeling alcohol as like something that like hey man, it's okay to drink 40 of these beers today. Like, why aren't you doing that anymore?" But I'm like, yeah, if I was doing a bag of cocaine anymore, and people are like, "Hey man, are you still not doing like coke all the
Yeah.
time?" I'm like, yeah, man. Like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
I'm like, alcohol's the same damn thing, man.
Right.
It's just commercialized so much different, and
Yeah.
it's obviously very profitable, and it does. Alcohol environments can be very fundraising. They can be very uplifting for celebrating a win or something. Like as long as it's controlled. And for me, there was a time frame where it was controlled, it was fun, it's exciting, and then my life was not that fun and exciting anymore. And alcohol did it did what it was supposed to do, and it made it even harder. So maybe you don't know what that feels like, but for me to tell you, yeah, man, I'm still not drinking, like, and I'm very proud of that. Um, and I'm not trying to be rude, but it's like usually the person asks me is like, you're shit faced," and it's like,
Yeah.
I
Right.
know
No,
you're
you.
not going to see it
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
perspective, maybe
Yeah.
right now, but like, and there was a time where like, yeah, same thing. I was a bartender and someone's like, "Hey, let's do a shot," or "Hey, I'm not drinking tonight." I'm not putting myself above anybody. I was the exact same person. I'd be bartending and having the time of my life. Be like, "Hey, let's do a shot," and Gina, Johnny, whatever would be like, "Hey, man, like I'm not drinking tonight." I'm like, "Oh, come on, you pussy! Like,
Yeah.
what are you
Right.
doing?" It's like,
Yeah.
You don't want to be that stick that just constantly pokes someone for not one. And I wish I could go back in those times and say, like, hey man, like I respect what you're trying to do, and I won't poke. And because yeah, again, we all get off work and we all go to our own homes and we all lay in our own bed after drinking all night long. And this person might just be sitting there counting their money, happy as can be. This person sitting at the wall being like, I fucking hate my
Yeah.
life. Like, yeah. So we all get paid to serve and be happy and be a smile. And if you don't, then you're probably not going to work there. So um, yeah, and I wish more people took into consideration, like, hey man, like this person's bartending 8, 9, 10 hours a night. Like be respectful when you're in there. Like ask them some questions. Hey, how are you doing?
Yeah,
Like, hey,
right.
like how's your
Right,
family?
right,
How's your
right.
kids? Like what's new with you? Like you don't have to shove a shot of Jack Daniels down their throat because it's gonna be very hard for that person to say no. Because like you took the time to come down there and see them and you want to spend some money on them, but like so does the other 100 people that are in there. And I know Austin can really relate to that
Oh
one.
yeah. Yeah, and I'm not talking for him, but I know we've had that conversation about how hard it must be. Just he tries to remove himself, and we don't make it easy as a society for that. It's hard, right?
Yeah,
Like it's everywhere. So
yeah,
you're on your own, that's hard. And then when you're out, it's even harder because
right,
people don't make it easy for you. And I'm
right.
not saying that you need people to like cater to you, but I think the other thing you said, and I remember years ago when someone I knew got sober, it was like you were afraid to drink around them.
Hmm.
But that's not really kind of what the
No.
deal is, right? It's
And like I
like,
said, if I didn't want to be here, I wouldn't be here.
yeah,
And we were just talking about this on the golf course the other day where I was like, I have some friends that when I do go out, they're like, hey man, like come, let's go to Duck City. Let's go to, I'm like, all right, sounds good. And then they will also order like a
yeah,
non-alcoholic beer. Like, hey
yeah,
man, like
yeah,
let's not do that. Like you're
yeah,
not making my life any easier. Like
yeah,
I'm here to see you, whether it's
yeah,
in a drunken state. I love you either way.
yeah,
I want you to be yourself, and I'm going to be myself. And if I want to leave, I'm going to leave. And if I don't want to come, I'm not going to come. And that's honestly something that I've also kind of gained the power of like I did a lot of things that I didn't want to do because I felt like, well, I'm off tonight, and I know last weekend this guy came and saw me, and this whole staff came and saw me. I'm like, I need to go out and make my rounds and give like just make the money, just circle around the Quad Cities. And I'm like, I just really want to lay in bed and just watch a movie tonight. But like eventually I just didn't I learned how to I wasn't able to do that. I just couldn't sit still and I just felt like I was obligated to go out and just drink more than I needed to, just because of the role I had as a bartender. And even now just sitting back in my own home now and I see a lot of bartenders like just through like Instagram or Snapchat or Facebook, whatever, it's just like, man, I can see that's still going. Like you just see bartenders that are constantly just flowing around. And occasionally every few days or every few weeks I'll get a phone call from a buddy like, hey man, like can we go have coffee and talk?
yeah.
I'm like, yeah man, anytime, anytime, dude.
So you didn't go through like a formal thing.
Mm-mm. It was
Yeah,
close. Yeah, it was. I went into Backwater, my gym, and I told Seth, and I was like, and this before, like, I was kind of leaking some stuff out on social media where like a lot of my posts were pretty depressing, and it was almost my way of like, I can't come out and say it,
yeah.
but like everything I
How I
was
felt.
posting was like
Yeah.
very sad, very very sad music. And my friend Hallie Richardson reached out to me, and sorry, I just bombed your name on here, but Hallie, I love you. She reached out to me and was like, "Hey man, like you're not good." And she was a teacher, but also working at Kilkenny's with me from time to time. And and she's just like, "You're not good." And this is someone that knew me from like high school days too. And my mom finally kind of reached out, which is kind of like, "Hey, like what's going on with these
Hmm.
posts?" And I was like, "Hey, like
Yeah.
what else? What else can I say?" And like same thing, the bartender and me was just like, "No, no, no, like I just like that song. I just thought it was kind of like a meaningful post, and like I hope that it helps somebody else." And like, no, it was me trying to scream for help. But
Yeah.
Seth was someone I could sit down there and be like, dude, I want to be done here. And I just went in there. I was like, I either come here or I'm gonna go check in.
Yeah.
I did have a friend. His name's not getting aired out, but I had a friend that went through a whole treatment, and he's like, dude, it's spot on. It changed my life. And
Yeah.
he's like, it's there if you want, and I'll go
Yep.
with you. So I was starting to find outlets, and just to wait. I mean, we sat on the putting green at Palmer Hills for like an hour, and he just gave me an hour of his time. And because and I was like, I gotta tell this guy because I had a feeling this guy thought that I was just like I was the man. I'm like, because I carried myself that way.
Yeah.
But I was like, dude, man, I'm not, dude.
Right.
I'm not. I want out of this so bad. And so like the roles almost kind of flip flopped. Was I sat there and he was just like, hey man, like we're gonna get you through this, and it's there if you want it, and I'll go with you. I'll take you to I was over a place over in downtown Moline, and he's like, I'll come with you, and
Yeah.
it's like don't worry about it, man. Because I was afraid of judgment. I was like, oh, like I don't want to put myself out there as this like person because like now I don't want to be labeled as like the problem child or like the guy that's
Yep.
got mental issues, something like that. Like, because that's all that's going to stick. And again, I wish I would have just able to sweep that on the rug. But like again, it's like you said, when your mind's set on one thing, it's going to be there for a while. So no, I just was able to turn it into the fitness role. And
Hmm.
at that gym at that time, we had CrossFit on one side and we had like body pump on the other side. We'll call it. It was just
Yeah.
called Metcon and Burn. And I was like struggling to do the burn classes, and I was like, just put your head down and go. And like, there was another guy in there that lost like 200 pounds, and I was like, this is going to be my best friend. And yeah, and it was. He was there every single day, and what he was doing was same thing. And he had some issues with. He just had his own issues, and but he was in the same mindset. Was
Yeah.
like, I'm taking some time off of work. I'm taking some time off of life. And we had like a noon class, and we had a 3:45, 4:45, 5:45, and we would literally do the noon class and then sit up against the brick wall until the next class came in, and then just kind of be there.
Yeah.
And because I live right across the street, and I was like, I'm just not going to leave this gym, man. I'm not going
Yeah.
to leave this gym. So we get on the bike and just like cycle for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever, go for a walk. But it created new habits. Yeah. And it made me realize that like if this guy Mike, I was like, hey man, Mike's lost 200 pounds. Like I'm no better than
Yeah.
him is. And then all of a sudden I started getting a little more technical and I started getting seeing a lot more performance. And all of a sudden, like I'm keeping up with some of the big boys on the other side of class. Um, and then eventually just people trusted me to coach those classes and rightfully so. And I dedicated it to it, and I'm still very dedicated to it. And I coach at a new gym now, but it's only, and I've been accepted by that new gym just solely by the person that I am, and that they know that I'm not sugarcoating anything. I'm not some poster child of fitness. I'm just someone that enjoys the quality of life. And I work at a gym now that's what we promote. We promote just like good fitness for a healthy living. We're not going to make you an ultra. We're not going to make you a marathoner. We're not going to make you a Olympic lifter or whatever. Like we have those resources if you want them there. But
Yeah.
like if you come to this gym 5 days a week, you're going to leave here feeling good, and we'll see you in the morning. So yeah.
So earlier on, you mentioned coaching kids.
Hmm.
What do you coach the kids? Is it a sport or is it physical fitness thing?
So a little bit of both.
Okay.
So during the summer, this is my first year kind of doing more like youth functional fitness classes. And it's
Uh-huh.
just like, hey, if you have a kid that
Yeah.
you just don't want to sit on the couch this summer, like Wednesdays and Fridays, like bring them
Hmm.
in. And that's been very fun. Unfortunately, it was scalding hot every
Oh.
single day. It was so hot, and like we just have fans in the gym. But my daughter was there, and the kids were just like they were just smiling ear to ear. But I was like, hey, I'm just gonna teach you how to move your bodies. We're gonna
Yeah.
do some box jumps. We're gonna do some air squats. We did a bunch of hill repeats. Um, but on an like on an hourly basis, like golf, BMX, and soccer right now are kind
Okay.
of like my consistent weekly, monthly, yearly kids that I coach. And I enjoy that. I enjoy that the most. And I love getting into their schedules. Like, hey man, I need to like for especially my BMX. I have a lot of BMX kids. It's like
Wow.
I need to know like your A, B, and C race. I'm like, well, your C race, like we could care less of like if you don't win, it's not the end of the world, or maybe the points don't matter. Because I'm gonna get you really fit around that window, and then we're gonna kind of deload a little bit, and then like I love to see those awesome outcomes. Like they go to nationals, they go to Nashville, they go to Louisiana, they go to Wisconsin, and get to see these kids like, and I teach these kids like, hey, you can burn out at age 12 too
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
just do this, if we just go, 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 go,
Right.
go. And I have to tell the parents that too. I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, he's got a huge race. He's racing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Can we come in like Tuesday and Wednesday? I'm like, no, let's not. He's got a full tank of gas
Yeah.
right now.
Right.
Let's make sure that he has a full tank of gas when he gets there. If he comes to the gym on Tuesday, Wednesday, he might be, and he's going to ride in a car for 8 hours. So I like working with athletes. It's like I love coaching classes. That is like my bread and butter. I love with the adults, the 65-year-old woman and the 25-year-old kid that comes in on his lunch break, and then we do a class and we have a fun sweat, we high five. But I do love getting into the more science of like let's work towards this date. Let's work towards this season. And let's remember where you were, and
Yeah.
let's just track the progress. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that a lot of people might confuse the almost like you were saying earlier, like the coach and the technical part versus so a friend of ours, Stephen Paul, he's training for his first marathon. And I've been tracking him and we talk, I see his Strava and all that kind of stuff. And I said, and he's following Hal Higdon. And I recommend it to anybody. Hal Higdon's advanced, intermediate, beginner, because Hal's built this massive program that's been really successful. Not that others aren't, because if you follow a program, it's going to work.
Yeah.
But I think that the key component that you're talking about is the mental part of it, or the intangible parts of being a coach versus a technical instructor, right?
Yeah.
the technical instructor part, you need a little of that. Absolutely. The functional movements and stuff, you need that. But I feel like the best thing a coach can be is like a mentor, friend, the
Yeah.
mental aspect of it. So, I just reached out to Steve and I was like, look, this training, 16 weeks, is mentally going to be draining. Your
Right.
life is going to be a shit show
Yeah.
if you're training the amount of training you're supposed to be doing. I said that the piece that I feel like I can help you with is that it's going to be hard. The mental part of it, you still work, you still have a life,
Mhm.
and you're fitting this into, like you said, your time. But I feel like that's what I would look for in a coach is that's
Yeah.
the intangible
So I
part of it.
coach, I have probably like 11 online clients, and 5 of them are QC half or full marathon based.
Okay.
And I did tell some people like, hey, if you're gonna come with me to the marathon, it's just like our goal is to finish it. I don't have a ton of experience. I tried to push them in another direction, like, no, I just want to work with you. And there are people that are at my gym, so they are trying to like, how can I train for a marathon while also kind of getting like my 2 classes a week in?
Yeah.
So just kind of giving like a marathon program on like 3 to 4 days a week of running. And I would have to say my job has been more pulling back on them than anything else. For example, I have one, and she's been super consistent, and all of her runs have been in the super big heat, and she has like 3 easy runs this week before her like first real big long run,
Yeah.
like 3 hour plus long run this weekend. And she's like, hey, like I'm starting to run in the morning. It's a lot cooler. Like I think I'm gonna start pressing my pace on my easy runs. I was like, no. I go, if you want to bonk this
Yeah.
weekend or
Right.
maybe not recover
Yeah. Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
I go, the easy run is labeled easy because it's
Right.
supposed to be easy.
Yeah.
Not just like let's go see how what we can do on this day. I'm like, if we want to push it, let's just maybe tweak your marathon long run this weekend, maybe put some more race pace stuff in there. We'll push it on that day. Um, and she's like, oh, I didn't think about this. Like about the gas tank. I was like, if I have you doing 45 minutes easy on Friday and you're doing 2.5 hours on Saturday, and you go out and you run 30
Hmm.
seconds faster than marathon pace for the whole 45 minutes and you're kind of huffing and puffing,
Yeah.
I bet you that 2.5 hour run the next day might be a little more labored than it's supposed to because you didn't stay in the prescribed heart rate zone, and now your tank instead of being 100% full, it's 80% full, and I
Yeah.
need you to have a 100% full tank for this the biggest long run you're about to ever do in your life.
Yeah.
And sometimes, unfortunately, it does take a monthly bill from a coach to wake you up on something that, like, it could be common sense to some people, and sometimes it's not. And I was that person where, like I said, now that I have my own type of races that I obsess with, and I put a lot of I train very 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 hard for them, and sometimes my running volume goes up, sometimes my running volume goes down, and when the volume goes down, I stay off Strava. I don't scroll through
Oh,
people's
okay.
Strava.
Yeah.
It'll beat me up. I'll go
Yeah.
start
Because you're like,
chasing junk
hey.
miles,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
comparison is that whole thief of joy,
Yeah.
and it's kind of it's like I if yeah, you might see me go from 40 miles this week and then I went down to 25, but then you just see like 3 cardio sessions and you're probably thinking like, oh, I'm just on this jazzercise machine. Like, no, I'm pushing 1,000 pound
Right.
sled and I'm doing deadlifts and I'm doing burpee broad jumps. It's like, so I can't sustain that running mileage and also get quality here. But right now the quality needs to be more in the form of strength. And I'm like, no one knows that on my Strava, but no one needs to know that. Like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I want to cross the finish line knowing that I didn't overtrain and I didn't leave anything back in my training, or I peaked like 6 weeks before my race
Yeah.
because I was just like, well, we're signed up. Let's just go all in every day, all day, zone 4, zone 5, 10 out of 10 efforts. Like, so that's not only is I think that's a coach where it's nice to have a coach that has experience. Like in 2022, 2023, I started getting into these like fitness races, and I was working with Mike Payne, and he's like, hey, we're gonna go do 10 by 1K tonight at like just marathon pace, like threshold pace. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna do that, but I'm gonna do the CrossFit class right before it so I can get better at running on tired legs.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I'm looking at my heart rate from that CrossFit class. I'm like, man, I was like high zone 3 that whole class. And I get to the track and I'm like, I can't
Yeah.
even think about sustaining marathon pace. And
Yeah.
then I'm having to really overdo it just to stay on that pace. And now it's no longer a threshold.
Now
It's a zone
you're,
five
yeah,
work. So
negative. Yeah.
yeah.
There's two things. One, I want to mention the word before I forget it. HYROX.
Hmm.
Remind me of that. And then two, have you heard of the Disney effect?
Hmm.
So I think it was in Runner's World or online or something, and it goes to that burnout conversation about, doing too much and the gas tank being empty or whatever. So the Disney effect is this. Say you go to Disney for a week or 3 days and you're training for a marathon, and the only thing you do in Disney is walk around. So you might be getting like 20,000 steps in
Right.
a day, and then you're trying to train at the same time which you could do like a 7 or a 10 mile run, and you're going to have another 20,000 steps. And by the end of the week, you're like, man, my legs are dead.
Right.
It's because you're walking 40,000 steps a
Hmm.
day
Yeah.
and trying to train for the race.
Exact. I have a client right now. She's trying to run the half, and she's like, "Hey, I've got a work conference in high altitude in Colorado." She's
Oh,
like, "But
nice.
we
Yeah.
have hikes scheduled.
Yeah.
Do you want me to run outside of that?" I said, "No, just go enjoy the high altitude and enjoy your hikes because you're
Yeah.
going to get strength in, you're going to get altitude in, and your hiking's probably going to be a little labor because you're going to be at 7,500 feet."
Yeah.
I'm like, don't think that the training, if anything, we'll just label this as like a moderate deload week and you're still getting some training because I know you're gonna find a gym somewhere. You're gonna find a bike path and you're gonna go run. I'm just not gonna prescribe it for you. But like, don't think that you're taking it easy by being a Midwestern going to 8,000 feet and you
Yeah.
guys are telling me that you have 5, 6, 7 mile hikes planned out. I'm like, there's your training.
You're right.
There's your training. It's just
Yeah.
hopefully it's zone two training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing like altitude.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah. I did do Pikes Peak Marathon in 2023. Pikes Peak, so I mean this is always in my story. So I said the date that I quit drinking was February 12th, 2012. And I would say November, December, and January, it was like every single night that I came home from drinking, I was like, crap. I went out that night with that mindset of like tomorrow's that day we wake up and we go run instead of sleep until noon, whatever. Because I had the
hmm.
ability to because I was a bartender. And I would drink just enough. I'd come home and I'm like, that's just not going to happen. But all I was watching was ultra marathon documentaries. And I
Yeah.
was just jealous. I'm like, that's going to be me.
Yeah.
I have friends that live that life here. I'm like, that's going to be me. That's going to be me. So I went weeks, months where it just never was me. It was never me. And all of a sudden, my algorithm was just obsessing on Pikes Peak Marathon. And I followed like Seth James Damore, and his consistency on YouTube was just like, this guy is a family man. He's got a million kids. He gets up super early for his kids go out. I'm like, this guy is the exact same age as I am.
Yeah.
There's no reason why I can't at least have a little bit of that. And so I made the transition and you had to submit. I had to run a marathon.
Yeah.
So I went down to Indianapolis in 2021, November, I think, either 21 or 22. And I ran Indy, and that was like if you're ever looking for an affordable big marathon, Indianapolis is super fun. But anyway, submitted that time. So I got into the 2022 Pikes Peak. Just regular family obligations came up. I wasn't able to go. I was able to defer.
For
I went in 2023, and oh my God, what a phrase. I talked about how I lived in like Breckenridge for a few years, whatever, and like I lived at 10,000 feet or 9,000 feet, whatever. But um, it's an experience I'll never forget. But like coming from the Midwest and going up there, and Pikes Peak to give you, it's in Colorado Springs, it's in Manitou Springs, and you start off at 7,500 feet, and you go 13 miles straight up the mountain, touch the top at like 14.4, and then you come all the way back down. And so for me, all I was doing was just like being a personal trainer. I was like, I'm just not taking clients from 1 to 3 in the middle of summer. And I'm just going out and doing long runs at like 95-degree days. And I was just doing a lot of CrossFit. I'm like, I'm just going to get strong because like I'm going to get as much as endurance as my body will allow me to get, but I need to get strong because I
hmm.
know a majority of this race is going to be more like hip flexor
Hmm.
and like quad and calf strength than it is like turnover speed. And finished it like a couple hours slower than I expected. But it was one of those things, and I drove, and like that drive home, I
Hmm.
never turned the radio on one time. I drove 16 hours home in dead silence. And for me, it kind of felt like we closed that chapter. Like I saw something and I accomplished it. It took me 2 years to get to the starting line. And the race was really hard. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really hard. And I was pretty beat up for about a month afterwards. And that's when we found HYROX. I was like, okay, maybe ultramarathon isn't my
Yeah.
thing. I want to run fast and I want to move my body like an athlete, like a little more dynamically. And that's when I found HYROX. But like crossing that finish line and then going the results and seeing how many people didn't finish Pikes Peak, I was like, okay, I was able to kind of close that chapter of like, you know what, it took me a long time to make that day one, like all of winter of 2020 into 2021. Um, and I did it at 33 years old, whatever. And I mean, so, I mean, I think you could do it at 43, you can do it at
Oh, yeah.
53, you can do it at
Yeah.
63. So, and I think when you're a bartender or you're someone that maybe has like a drinking problem and you're maybe then you're in this social flow of like, oh, I'm just gonna go to happy hour, I'm just gonna go to happy hour. It's like, oh, it's too late for me I'm never gonna lose this gut or something like
Hmm.
that. It's like, maybe it's not a lot of weight to most people, but like I'm 182 pounds now and I was 225 when I quit. And it was a lot of inflammation. There was a
Yeah.
lot of in my face and
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, it just takes a day one. It just takes a day one. So it just
No,
takes a
I
lot of
think
honesty.
there's a lot of lessons right in there about the I had mentioned it earlier about the immersion, right? You immersed into this world of I want to like the ultra whatever algorithm started showing you,
Hmm.
and like you got into that. And I felt like I was the same way with stuff. Is like, oh man, like I said, I obsessed with running before I started running. I was like,
Right.
man, I'm gonna learn about it.
Hmm.
Like you'll pick up a book and start reading about it. And now um HYROX, which I only know a little bit about a friend of mine. His name's Ken Rideout. He's the like he
I know
has
Ken.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know Ken?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Ken and I went to college together. He's from Somerville, Mass. I'm from Peabody, Mass. So we kind of like grew up in the same
Guy can run.
area in Boston. And but Ken and I went to college together, and he was an awesome, interesting guy. I'll
I
tell
think
you.
he did New York 2 years ago. So we just had New York in like May or whatever,
Yeah,
and Ken did New York
yeah,
last year,
yeah,
and ran a good time.
yeah.
Yeah.
But he
Mhm.
was pissed that he came in second, I
He's such
think.
a competitive person.
Oh
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
He's an awesome kid. But
I think he did like the speed project with some of the BPN guys where
okay, yeah.
they run from like LA to Las
Yes, he did.
Vegas, and
Yes. Yep.
those paces were pretty cool.
Yeah.
The same thing with the algorithm. Like if I snooze off on YouTube, like 3 shows will go by, and then that comes up every single time because I've watched it so many
Yeah.
times. Yeah.
I I was talking to Evan Kilstrom. I don't know if you saw that episode, but anyway, Evan was on and he was a former Iowa State football player, did Leadville last year.
Okay.
He went from 330 or 40 pounds to, losing 120 to
Yeah.
running Leadville in like 2 years. It's crazy. But we were talking about Ken and I think there was a documentary on that race, the LA
Oh
to,
yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think there was a part where someone was saying to Ken about like, oh, like just take it easy. He's like, take it easy.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm trying to
It's
win
a
this thing.
race. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, I'm
Yeah,
going
they
to
went
win
they
this.
they went like the wrong way down the desert, and like someone has to be running at all times. So
Yeah.
I guess like to like give listeners like a little story behind that. Like
Yeah.
it's like a team of 5 or 6, and someone has to be running at all times from LA to the Las Vegas Strip. And the route is yours to create. You can take desert, you can take highway. And a part of that route was through the night, and they had like off-road Jeeps, and they also had like an RV, and they
Yeah.
got to the point where like, hey, the RV needs to go back to the interstate because you're not going to make it through this. And they went like 20 miles out of the wrong direction. But like,
Ugh.
yeah, Ken, looking at Ken's pacing, like that guy for
Oh,
he can run.
yeah. So
But
he's
yeah,
doing Boston though. That's what I was going to tell you.
oh, so you doing Boston High
Yeah.
Rocks? Yeah, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
signed up for Boston High Rocks. So for me again, I was very limited on and I wasn't very interested. Something about putting a barbell over my head, I'm just not
Yeah.
too stoked on. But like the CrossFit thing had some limits. But when it came to like the 45-minute Metcons, where it's like, hey, it's row, ski,
Yeah. Yeah.
run, like burpee box jumps, I'm like, okay, like you guys are about to get like
Yeah.
the work.
Yeah.
And I just love that. I just love having the ability of I love learning how to build an engine. And then I found DecaFit, and DecaFit was a smaller version of HYROX. It's a brand through Spartan, and it's 10 500-meter runs with 10 stations, and they're in the form of row erg, ski erg, lunges, sleds, burpees, blah blah blah. So it's just so many mixed modalities to where like, okay, that station got my quads, that station got my shoulders. Where like running is just like your
All right.
foundation is just gonna get it,
Yeah.
and whatever is untrained is probably gonna be the first to go, and whatever. But you don't have to be, it's not a one size fits all kind of race. So it's like if you're this triathlete where I know the sustainability of the race is not going to affect you, but like the 700-pound sled is like, hey,
Yeah.
let's dial down on the endurance, and let's put 8 weeks into bulking up a little bit. Or you're someone that's, hey man, I'm a really good elite CrossFitter, and I've got like a 20-minute 5K and like maybe like a 4 hour marathon, or maybe I don't know, half marathon, like 2 hour half marathon. So okay, like let's get you faster, let's get your speed up more. And you could probably sacrifice some strength because like the demands just aren't going to be as tough as they are. And but yeah, you might be able to do these sandbag lunges in class, but like, can you do the sandbag lunges
And then
60 minutes from
yeah.
now?
Right.
Yeah, when you've had to run 8K, you've had to do 7 other modalities, where like the average CrossFit class of the stimulus is probably like 20 minutes, with some strength and warm up, blah blah blah. Where HYROX is, I mean, it's for me, I like to consider myself on like more of like a outside looking in elite level, where like the elites are like 56 to 60 minutes. I'm in at like 69 to 71 minute range bar on the men's pro wave. So they have different entries into the
Hmm.
race on weight capacity. So that it is kind of more open to everybody. And I train a lot of athletes from 25-year-olds to 60-year-olds. And there's relay options, there's team options, but I do the men's pro because that's just obviously what I have to throw myself into. Um, and for me, it's been a learning process. It's been a I can do this. I can get very good at this, and it's also been very humbling. It's like a marathon, even though the time domain of it is more like a little less than like a half marathon effort. Like for most, I think for the average person, like a HYROX takes you about an hour 45 minutes, but it is all like it's zone four. I mean, it's a high zone three, low zone four. It is you're trying really
Yeah.
hard. I mean, at least I am. I mean, when I look through my data, I'm in like zone four the entire time. Like we're in a half marathon, I would not be in zone four the whole time. Um, so it's just a whole new learning process of training.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's no one size fits all. I mean, anyone can kind of come in from different angles, and maybe we all kind of meet ourselves in the middle come like the last 4 weeks. We can train together. And that's kind of been like a little bit of a business opportunity for me, is like when people want to train for HYROX, they're like, hey,
Yeah.
well, like I can't do this. I'm like, well, you just can't do that yet,
Yeah.
but
You
you
haven't
also
even
do
done it.
this better
Yeah.
than this person does.
Right.
So
So, for everybody, because I don't know, what is it? Is it all the same events every High Rocks?
yeah.
So, what are the events and what are the order and all that kind of stuff?
So
If you
it's
just
eight
lay
by
that
yeah,
out.
it's 8 by I'll say it real fast. So it's eight HYROX is an 8 kilometer run inside of a stadium or convention
So,
center,
wait, hold on, because I don't think people know 8K is like just under five
like
miles. Yeah, it's like
5.4
five.
miles, whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So a little less than 6 miles of running, and so you run a lap. At some places it's 2 laps, some places 3 laps, whatever equals that distance, and then you go into a station. And station one is the skier machine. Station two is a 50-meter sled push. Next station three is a sled pull. 50 meters, and then station four is 80 meters of burpee broad jumps. So doing a burpee and then jumping forward. Right in the middle of the station. This is where it's time to start fueling a little bit.
Yeah.
And then another run, and then it's 1,000 meters on the row work, which is like your first time to actually sit down, which is nice. That's why I usually will fuel between those. I'm like, well, the next one I get to sit down for about 4 minutes, so
So you
maybe
could eat
digest.
something. Yeah.
And then you're looking at a 200-meter farmer's carry, and then 100 meters of sandbag walking lunges, this is when things kind of start to get real. And then you finish with 100 wall balls, and you don't run after the wall balls. So after the wall balls, you cross the finish line, you're done. So you have those 8 stations and 8 1Ks. It's a little longer
Wait, so you
than
run in between each
every
one?
station. For every single station, you have to do a run, a one
Okay.
kilometer run.
Okay, so that's why it's 8 at the end. All
Yeah.
right, now the weighted stuff, is it all the same weight for everybody?
So like I said, there's men's open, and then there's men's pro, and then the same thing for the women's. So the men's open is going to be the machines are the same, the burpees are the same, the amount of reps are and the distance
Yeah,
are
yeah,
the
the
same, but
weight.
the weights are going to be less. And then
So give me an example, and if you're in the pro and you're doing it, what's the first the sled push? What is the weight on that?
sled push, I believe is 465 pounds, and that's also on a surface that they create that does make it harder. So like when I say
It's
I'm at
not
the
like
gym,
AstroTurf
if I'm
or
at the gym
something.
pushing 700, it's
Yeah,
because it feels like the
400 on.
465. They used
Yeah.
to do it like on like an office carpet. So when you're in this room that's got 5,000 people in it, and that office carpet is on a concrete floor, and the person that is pushing it is sweating all over it,
Yeah, it's
and it's
wet.
building
Yeah,
that
yeah.
friction, that sled eventually just feels like
You
mud.
can't move it.
They did switch to an AstroTurf, but I have heard that like the sled that they use, as it gets used throughout the day, it eventually builds friction, and
Oh yeah.
it doesn't want to move as efficiently. So I kind of pay the price for that because the men's pro wave races later in the night. And that's honestly been one of the hardest parts of training, is that like on an average, I'm racing at like 7:30 p.m. In Vegas, I ran at 9:10 p.m. our time. So just learning how to have
Oh
what it
yeah. That
takes
means it.
at bedtime,
Yeah.
basically.
No, that's a
So
huge thing to
yeah,
take into
yeah,
consideration.
yeah,
Yeah, I did a not to change the subject because I want to
yeah,
talk more about the high rocks, but I remember I did a night marathon, and I'm like, it started at 9 o'clock at
yeah,
night, and I don't run at 9 o'clock at night.
yeah,
It was totally different.
yeah.
I mean, it had all that time during the day, but anyway, so the 465-pound push, is it the same for the pole?
No, it does come down a little bit. The hardest thing about the pole is so it's a 25-meter length. So I'm sorry, 12 and a half meter length. So with the sled, when you're in the sled, you're going to go down, back to
Oh,
equal 50 meters.
jeez.
So
So it's not even
and the
like a
rope.
50-meter
No, and
run
back in the day,
one
apparently it
way.
used to be though. Apparently back in the day, they used to be 25-meter lengths.
So you
So
could
you're
just
looking
do
at
one split.
25-meter rope though. So
Oh,
yeah, so they could get the hardest part about the sled pull definitely isn't the weight, But when you first start, you have a 3 meter box that you're not allowed to walk out of.
So you have to kind of like
So you have to
use the
stay in it, and then
yeah.
once you're back, that judge will tell you like, "Hey, you can't take another step." And they have time penalties and all that stuff. So you grab this rope, and your sled is 13 meters on the other side of you. So trying to get that first
The
couple
first
pulls
yeah.
going to eventually get some slack. And that's usually where the sled pull and the burpee broad jumps is where you can either make up a ton of time or you're going to give up a lot of time. Um, but it's just one of those races where it's just like you learn a lot about yourself for future training. And I've made adjustments and they didn't work out, and I've made some adjustments and they substantially worked out. Me, like I said, I don't come from either elite background in either of these categories. So for me to be like, I know this guy's a phenomenal runner. I know how he's going to train. He's going to try to get stronger and more efficient as like a just overall dynamic strength athlete. This guy is crazy strong. He's going to try his best to get. I'm like, I don't really know which direction to go. I know I can I've got an 18 5K. I've got a 500-pound deadlift. Like both of those are very good,
Yeah.
but like none of them stand out to where I can maybe avoid them in my training. Um, so for me, it's just kind of like, let's just get better. Let's just keep getting better. Let's just keep getting better and just be more experienced. And the only way you're going to get better, like, it's just like the marathon. Like,
Yeah.
rarely do you see someone be like, never ran a marathon, but I bet I can run a 3 hour one. And I'm
Yeah.
going to train like I'm going to run a 3 hour one. And then you go out there and they run 3:18. But then they go out and they train again and they take off like 20 minutes.
Right,
And
they go
then eventually those
3:45.
and then
Yeah.
eventually those
Yeah.
PRs get smaller and
Yeah,
smaller and
yeah,
smaller
yeah, yeah.
because you're getting more efficient, but
Yeah.
like the next pace is just going to be that much more like it's going to be that much harder. But the experience of like knowing what you did wrong could get you like a 20-minute gain the next time. And that's how I went. I went from 117 down to 111. And I wouldn't really say I trained a whole, I mean, I definitely trained more, but like I knew where I made mistakes. And then you just hustle. You just have to, like, my biggest keyword with HYROX is like, so the reason why I'll say it's a little bit longer than 8 kilometers is so you run out on a track
Hmm.
and they build a track, and then the stations are
You have
all
to run to the
you
station.
have to run to
Yeah,
that
yeah. I
station,
get it. Yeah.
and that's where there is a little bit of a comfort zone because Red Bull's in there, Gatorade's in there, there's some like goos in there, like there's sponsors in there being like, hey, if you need to take a break, if you want me to massage gun your legs real quick, which unfortunately I've had to get that done before. They promote you to like, hey, this is if you're going to slow down, we want it to be in here. We don't want it to be out in the run zone and kind of clog
Yeah,
traffic,
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So if you become a person where you can get out of there, get out of that rock zone area and get back on the run, that's how you're going to make up time. Because if you can get past the people that are like, oh, I'm going to stop and take my gel, I'm going to stop and get a couple sips of water, put some cold water on my face. When you're running, if you're going to do a high rocks, just know it's going to be hot in there because it's going to be inside. They're either going to be pumping AC or heat, and there's going to be 7,000 people in there. It's going to be warm. There's no airflow. So I'm not much of a treadmill person, but when I do train for high rocks, like I shut the gym doors, I turn the fans off, and I run on the treadmill.
To replicate it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So let me ask you this. You have that race director kind of
Mhm.
experience now, background, I'll call it. And I've never seen any High Rocks events around here. Any interest in doing one and support, like having your own around here?
So we are an affiliate. So I work at 1031
Yeah.
and HYROX. I mean, HYROX is gigantic. It's the biggest growing activity in
Yeah.
the world right now for sure. Chicago does have one, but yeah, there aren't that many in the Midwest. Us being an affiliate, we can host simulated experiences, but we can't just be like, hey, we're gonna have one too. Um, like it would have to be HYROX would have to come in like, hey, we'll go to Des Moines or hey, we'll go to the Quad Cities, but it needs to bring in people from all over the world, blah blah blah. So they basically just hit major cities like it's Boston, Chicago, Atlanta, Miami, New York, North Cal, SoCal.
Yeah.
Yeah, New York's got a great one. New York is a pretty good experience because their run is actually outside, and then their stations are on a like in a canopy pier somewhere where they did actually get some rain this past one. So like people were coming in kind of wet, which I wouldn't be stoked on trying to push sled with wet shoes. Because I care about my time. I train to get a time. I don't race these things for the overall experience. And I wish I did. I wish I was better at just being like, hey, if this race goes bad, like
You
just
have
enjoy
fun.
yourself,
Yeah,
have
yeah,
fun.
yeah.
Like I'm not the best
Yeah.
at that. I
So let me
guess.
ask you another couple questions about it because I've seen videos, but I can't get it. You can't. It's like seeing a mountain. You can't tell how steep it is until you're there, right?
Mhm.
You see a picture of a hill and you're like, oh, I can't tell. Is there heats and is there only so many? Because there's only so many rowing machines and so
Right.
many skiing machines and so
Well,
many
they have a lot.
lanes. So
Yeah.
it must be heated
Yeah.
where there's like 8 people going at one time or 10
I
or
would say every 10 minutes, 30 people go out, and the race schedule is usually the same everywhere they go, and it's usually the course of a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And in the morning, it'll be like the women's open and the men's open, the tickets that they sell the most of, and the tickets that they offer the most of. That's kind of and so every 10 minutes, there's 30 people coming out of a Red Bull tunnel. The first run's usually a little longer because they're going to put you in a place to where you can kind of veer your way into the run course. Um, but most of this race getting so big that the venues they have to have a ton of space.
Yeah.
So they fence off all their stations, and then you're running around just like you would on a track. And yeah, I will say, I mean, I got into HYROX pretty early, and at first they were getting pretty small conventions, and having 4,000 people, not all at one time, but probably a couple thousand people running the HYROX at the exact same time as everybody, and you're trying to run. It's like if you ran the Bix, it's like
Yeah.
trying to run mile one the whole time,
Wow.
and you're just sitting there
That's
being like, do I want to waste energy beeping and bopping around people? Or do I want to just maybe lose some time and like just kind of wait until a gap opens? Now, I will say I ran Houston, I ran Chicago. The venues are gigantic. So no matter how many people are out there, like, and they do lane it. So there is a white tape on it divides the run course and it says fast lane. It's like, and they try to say if you're not running under like a 4 minute K, like you need to be off and to the right. And the right lane is substantially bigger, where they want the people like, hey, no, there is an elite, there is payment, there are elite payments for this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We want these people to get the same fair opportunity they do, because if you run a certain time, there's a world championships, there's North American championships, there's ways to make money in this sport. And if it comes down to a time domain, and you're sitting there like, well, I would have ran faster if there wasn't a bunch of people walking in my lane. So it is phenomenal on just a go try it, go have fun. But like there's a very high elite.
Yeah.
I mean, people are making a living off of HYROX. I'll say that there are elites that are making 80 grand a year running the races. Not talking about Puma. I mean, Puma's a massive sponsor for this race that are getting endorsements with energy drinks or clothing brands, or social media obviously is the most powerful thing in the world. So, and this brand is growing. So, whether you make your face known as an athlete or a coach or an ambassador, like I'm just trying to be in this sport as much as I possibly can.
Yeah. Well, Ken's going to Boston. I texted with him the other day. He's doing it. I think I saw that is it at the Boston Convention Center?
Yeah.
Like over in it's like the Seaport District now. We were just there a couple months ago visiting my family. And I'm wondering like the run might be even outside of that or something like that.
There's a
Maybe
podcast saying that this will be one of the biggest convention centers that North America has done. They said it's pretty big.
Yeah, it's huge.
And I guess that they could say this guy's obsessed, but he was just like giving you all these crazy stats. He goes, in the history of HYROX, this place will be the closest to the airport. Because the Dallas HYROX I did, it was a jaunt to get to the venue in like an Uber or cab, whatever.
Yeah.
They said this one is just like right next to the airport. But I guess apparently this is a very big place that we're racing at.
The space between the convention center and the airport is water.
Really?
So, meaning like if it is the closest, it's by that, the crow flies. But yeah, it's really close to the airport. You could Uber, you could take a train, you could take the subway. It would be real easy. You already have all your stuff, your flight and all that.
Just flight and ticket. Yeah, I haven't found. Like I was actually talking with a couple other athletes that are going about like just trying to find like rooming and all that stuff.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Well, if you need any help,
sure,
let me know. Or like, places to stay out there. There's a Westin hotel connected to it basically.
Okay.
But you don't want to pay.
Yeah, I'm staying with
$700.
a Iowa kid, Hayden Warner. He's a really good cyclist, and he's created a very good resume in the HYROX world. He's very fast, very, very fast. So he's came down to our gym and given some HYROX seminars. And unfortunately, right now the Chicago one is still to be determined. They haven't locked in the Navy Pier. So last year I think the Chicago is always the second weekend in November. And last year the registration was open in like April or March, and now it's August and it's still not open yet. So people that are, especially me as a coach, that are trying to train people for Chicago, I'm like, well, let's not start just yet, because I mean it could be a January thing, it could be a February thing. So, and the people that are only going to go to Chicago are kind of sitting there just like online, just be like, what is going on? Why is this open yet? And if you go to the Navy Pier website, it's not on there. If you go to every other convention website that HYROX is going to, that the HYROX is on their convention website calendar of events. So, yeah, a lot of Midwest people are freaking out.
So they've had it before, and it's in
November since like 2019,
okay,
or 2020. I think Chicago's always been the second weekend in Navy Pier, which is labeled as like the best opportunity to run a best time because it's so big. Like the track, no
So is
matter
it,
how many people are out there, you're gonna run. Like you
it's
have,
on Navy Pier.
it's in Navy
So
Pier. Yeah,
in
yeah.
so
They rent like the
inside
entire, like
and
every
then
single wall is open. They've got theming.
yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
we run like a lap and a half to get a kilometer in, where like Houston 2 years ago was 4 laps because we were in such a small place. So when you talk about deceleration, turning,
Yeah, yeah,
accelerating,
yeah,
like you're
yeah.
talking a couple
Yeah.
seconds probably every corner,
Yeah.
and over the course of eight eight runs, I mean, it adds up to
Yeah.
it adds up.
So
So
remind me again, because I want to ask you about so it's the run, like give me the events again just for my knowledge again, because
yeah, so after every, you start off with a run
yeah,
and you don't finish with a run. But after every station is a 1 kilometer
so
run.
does
So it's skier, 1,000 meters on a skier. So 4 to 7 minutes of work there. A lot of aerobic work.
yeah.
It's such much more of an aerobic event than like an
Yeah,
anaerobic
yeah, yeah.
event. So, and that's why CrossFitters are just like, oh, I can do that. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
probably
right.
not.
Yeah.
50-meter sled push,
Okay.
50-meter sled pull with a
So
big
those are
rope.
back to back,
Yeah, sleds are
and
back
then
to
you run
back.
in between it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man.
And then
Okay.
then you just blew up every body part you have,
Yeah.
and now you have to do 80 meters of burpee broad jumps. I
Okay,
always say
that's
the
the one I was
station
gonna
that's the worst is the one that has no equipment. It's
burpee
just,
broad
yeah,
jump. So if
yeah.
you're a good broad jumper, you don't have to do as many.
So there's a lot of science behind that to where I mean, do you want to pace your, like there's been times where I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna do more burpees and I'm gonna jump not as far
Less. Yeah,
because I
yeah.
want to save my
Yeah,
legs.
yeah.
But me being 6'2", I'm like, I need to be springy off the ground, 1, 2 step, jump, and cover ground because I don't want to press that much. Because I'm also about to go into the row. I'm about to hold on to the farmer's carry. Like, so you just train your legs. Train your legs to run on tired legs.
Yeah.
I
So
jump far on the
after
burpees
the
now.
burpee broad jumps is the row,
Row,
and then
yeah,
row's a
1,000 meters.
1,000 meter
Yep,
row.
1,000 meter
Okay.
row.
So 1,000 meter row, I'm trying to think. 3 minutes?
I row in a
250,
race. I
230?
row. No, I row. The screen will show you per 500, and I
Yeah,
probably row
140,
about
130.
155
Okay,
to
155. All right.
155 to 2 minutes
I
flat.
got my
Yeah,
concept
yeah.
two over
Yeah.
there. I
If
hate
I'm in like
rowing.
a CrossFit class
I
and I got to do a
hate it.
thousand, I'm probably gonna, yeah, I'll row like 145, 143. But like I know I'm about to grab kettlebells for two
That's what I
and
was
the
going to
grips.
ask you. Is what
Yeah.
is the pound on the
So for me,
carry
it's
farmer's
two
carry?
72-pound kettlebells.
270
Two,
pounds.
two
And how
72
far is
pounds.
the walk?
200 meters. Yeah. Um,
70 pounds.
And so that's where you have to train, like, yeah, you want to progressively overload your training, but the time domain is so important. So I do a lot of like hypertrophy training. I don't care how much I can bench one time, but like, can I bench press 135 like 20 times? Like,
Yeah.
it's gonna go a
Is
long
that the
ways, like building the
David
endurance in
Goggins
my
method?
hands,
Yeah.
because you just see that muscle, your body's ability to produce oxygen is the most important part of HYROX. It's like you see a guy that's like that probably has a 400-pound back squat, but then he can't wall ball a
Oh, yeah.
20-pound
Yeah, yeah,
ball
yeah. No, I
five
get
times.
it.
I'll put it down. It's
Right.
not because it's strength; it's because his body has no oxygen in it.
Right.
It's crumbling, and you're doing wall balls. I mean, for me, I'm doing wall balls at the 63-minute mark. So I've already done
And
all
how
this
heavy
stuff.
is the
20
ball?
pounds for me, yeah,
20.
to a 10
So
pound to a
it's
10-foot
two
target.
70-pound dumbbells.
And then the sandbag, I believe, is 65 pounds, and that's 100 meters
And
of
it's on
sandbag
your
length.
back.
And knee has to touch the ground
Knee
every
touch the
time.
ground
Yeah,
and it's 100
100
meters.
meters. Yeah.
Good God. And it's not 100 meters straight. You have to
Depends
back
on
and
depends on
forth.
the
Right.
venue.
Yeah, yeah.
Depends
No,
on the
I
like.
get.
So
Wow.
and I will say, like, I did a high rocks where the burpee broad jumps were 4 20-meter stations, and then when you cross that line, you were able to walk to the next one, so you get to
Oh,
flush that
yeah.
lactic
Yeah,
acid
yeah,
out.
yeah.
Where
Yeah.
Chicago is so big, they have an
That's
80
like
meter
eight.
length, and if
Okay.
you move your feet around, the judge will pull you back
Oh,
a meter,
you
and you
like
have
a
to
rep.
redo that rep.
Jeez.
So you can stand up and stand still, but you're just basically like swimming in your own blood. Um, but then again, you also have a super efficient race course. Like the Chicago is like you're basically running like 300 meters straight, 300 meters this way. Like where other courses are like, oh man, I get to run 100 meters, I got to turn. I run 100 meters, I got to
Yeah.
turn. I run 100 meters, I got to
Yeah.
turn. Yeah.
I feel like CrossFit to me was not sustainable. I just felt that way. I mean, it felt like it was like, okay, you're lifting a lot of heavy things and a lot of awkward movements and stuff. I just never could get into it. I didn't even wanted to try.
Yeah.
This though feels more like you said, it's an aerobic
Yeah.
endurance kind of event, some strength, but that to me is like I can see how this is kind of taken over that world.
And they're like we as a gym, we practice skill probably
Yeah.
once a week. Where I'm like, hey, we are going to come in and we are going to do every single station today to work on the skill,
Yeah.
the efficiency of the skier, the efficiency of the rower to
Yeah,
save
yeah,
you like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
The efficiency of a burpee broad jump because you know the burpee broad jump of a CrossFitter. I'm going to teach you that is not sustainable for 80 meters. So there is skill, there are skill components to make things easier, to make you move through time and space better. But our training is way less complicated than CrossFit, where it's just like, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
Today we're gonna do 3 rounds. You're gonna do 2K run, you're gonna do a 5K bike, and then we're gonna do 25 weighted box step ups. Like there's not a lot of skill there, but your engine's going to be
Yeah.
working we're going to do it for an hour.
Yeah. Wow.
Where like for me, I'm like, I can't learn how to snatch. I don't really want to learn how to
Yeah.
snatch. I don't
Yeah.
know how to squat clean thrust there
Yeah.
without the coach being like, hey, like, let's get you more explosive in your hips. Like, let's work on that triple extension. I'm like, I just want to move. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, the very next day, I'm like, oh my God, I can't walk because I picked up a sandbag and I threw it over my shoulder and I climbed a rope 100 times. Now, granted, I can't go down that road too bad because like CrossFit is kind of what got me in.
Yeah.
Like that
No,
was one of my first avenues.
yeah.
But I wake up, we're working out where I work out now. I'm able to wake up the next day and be like, if someone said, hey, do you want to go to the track and do a workout? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, back in the day, I'm like, hey, you want to go to the track? I'm like, oh man,
Yeah.
I way overdid it on my squats and like sandbag tosses and like I said, like rope climbs or like trying to learn how to muscle up. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm smoked, man. I'm
Yeah.
smoked.
The wall ball or the wall, whatever it's
Yeah.
called, there's a height, obviously. There's like a
Yeah,
mark, and you have
nine
to
and
throw
10.
it
Yeah.
over
And it's
that.
sensitive. So they're a circle like your ring cam, but in the middle of it, or your ring light, like but in the middle of it is a sensor, and there will be an iPad that says like one,
One, oh, so it's
two.
counting
So
for you.
there's someone
Yeah, yeah.
counting your depth. Your
Yep.
depth has to break parallel. And I
So
think
you're doing it's a squat and then
yeah,
throw. Okay, so you
it's a
have to.
thruster. Yeah.
Oh, all right.
And I
Yeah, that makes
think
sense.
your buddy out there, that Randy York, like I said, there is an elite level, and there's also like, hey man, I'm not here to like make world championships. So you will see the judge, and I wish people didn't speak so poorly on social media because like CrossFit the same way. It's like
Yeah.
you get to see the CrossFit gains, but you didn't see the 3 million people that did the CrossFit Open that submitted workouts where it's like, hey man, like
Yeah.
you didn't hit, but you did it. But you paid the $20 to do
Yeah, yeah,
it,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you did the workout. You submitted to the CrossFit Games, blah blah, and you were part of this community. Where at HYROX, there's 7,000 people out there, and anyone can grab a phone out and be like, well, this person's not touching their butt past parallel.
Oh,
But yeah, but it's
geez,
also
yeah.
a 65-year-old guy that
Yeah, right.
he's at a 2 hours and 20 minutes on his clock.
Yeah.
So they do have 5 gallon buckets in the wall ball station that they ask you, like, hey, you know what? If you need help, sit down on the bucket,
Oh,
come
you can
up,
do
let
okay.
go of the ball, bring it back, sit down,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and you're hitting the standard.
Yeah.
Your butt is going down.
Yeah.
And I've seen some races where people are like their butt is like their torso is like barely moving, and the judges there are volunteers too, so they're like, hey, you know what? Like you're done. And then you see the guy cross finish line, and he finished 500th in his age group. Like it's
Yeah,
like,
right, right.
you know what? The guy paid it's
Yeah.
$185 from a high rocks.
Yeah,
Like you know
yeah.
what?
Yeah.
And it's a time domain that a lot of people have probably never experienced in that type of like effort. So to tell someone like, oh, you didn't complete this, you didn't do this, like, you know what, like yes, there are elite levels here that they need to be held accountable for a standard, and they are. And
Yeah.
then and the penalties, and now, like I say, now they have these wall ball sensors because you'll go to a race and you'll see a guy that's like hitting really low on the target, and the judge is like, that's good, that's good. Where you go to an American race or a European race, and that judge is like, hey man, like you got to hit the target. Now they have a sensor, and in that sensor is a little camera, and if that ball does not hit, I think, a majority of that surface, the
It
number
doesn't
doesn't go
count.
up. The number
Yeah.
doesn't go up. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
They're getting way more and more technical with it. And I'm like I say, from a race director, I love hosting these charity 5Ks that have 1,000 people in it, being responsible for 10,000 people starting and making sure their times are accurate, making sure that their standards are just as held as accountable as the person next to you. Because I did Houston a couple of years ago, and the guy next to me was getting good reps, and he was doing very bad wall balls, and my guy was he was doing his job, but he's on a little bit of a power trip. And he's like, hey, man, that didn't count. I'm like, dude, well, let's look at the guy next to me. He's like, come on, man, just run your race. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
yeah, come on. So and that was 2 years ago. And now you fast forward 2 years and they're like, hey, like we are trying to, I'm like, we'll also maybe get a payroll. I'm like, you guys
Yeah.
are making a few $1 million
Yeah,
in race
yeah.
revenue.
Right.
And they did. So now they've got people that fly in that are 5 or 6 people that are in white shirts that are walking up and down being like, hey, this
Officials.
person is not doing this. I need you to be on their
Yeah,
butt
yeah,
a little
yeah.
bit more.
Yep.
And there's warnings, but the last place you want to get a warning in is in the burpee products. Chest has got to touch the ground, and when your feet come up, your feet are not allowed to go in front of your hands. And when you go down to your burpee, your feet, like if I'm going to go down to my feet, my hands have to go down to my feet, then my legs go back. A lot of people will go
Go throw
down,
them
and then
like
the
out.
hands will
Yeah.
go forward,
Yeah, yeah.
and now you just gain yourself a whole meter.
Yeah.
And if you're fast, a judge will be like, oh, I'm not
Yeah,
really sure if this guy's cheating or not. And then you get
right.
someone that's on their cell phone. And they're like, oh, look at these bad reps. It's like, I mean,
Mm.
there's thousands of people that run. Yeah, you caught one guy in there that was maybe cheating the system a little bit, and it is. They're trying their best. They're doing their best. So
And when is it? It's coming up, right? It's like,
same day as QC Marathon.
oh,
So like
20.
September 28th or
Okay.
29th. Yeah, I race Sunday night. So
Okay. And what is your goal?
last year going into the HYROX Pro, I ran 4 times last year. I had one DNF. I tried to race back-to-back weekends. So Dallas is the weekend after Chicago, and it's like trying to run back-to-back marathons. It was stupid. And but anyway, I ran like a 116 in 2023, and my goal was to really break 70 minutes. I really
Okay.
wanted to have a 60 something in
Yeah,
my
yeah,
time
yeah.
because at that time, like if you were in the 60s, like you were a badass,
Yeah.
or you were very good at this. And I ran like 71 low
Oh,
twice. And if you look at all my splits, I hit all my splits, but they will show you. They will split your time to when you leave the station and to get back on the run zone, that rock zone area. And my rock zone is what I was just taking very big
too much.
breaks. So what
Yeah.
I'm trying to change in my training is like if I write myself a workout that is skier into run or run into I'm working on that time spent from
Transition.
each modality,
Yeah.
get there
Yeah,
quicker.
yeah,
And that just comes in the form of endurance. So I'm cycling a lot more. I'm doing 2 hour bike rides, 3 hour bike rides, bike into run. And that's what's going to,
yeah.
it's not that I don't know how to hustle,
Yeah.
but like I need that ability to like, right now my endurance is only so well that like I almost need that little break. I need that break. I'm not going to be able to push that sled unless I give myself 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Well, I need to get my endurance needs to be lifted and to where like the kilometer effort isn't I might still run the exact same pace this year,
Yeah, yeah.
but it doesn't hurt as bad.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's funny, the pacing part of it and the training, like the race, right? Like, or the event. Because I did a backyard, and we didn't train like
mhm.
that. We didn't train that we're doing 4 miles or 4.18 or whatever it is
So
every
like an every
hour.
hour on the hour kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
So like if you don't do that stop and starting, like what I'm getting at is like aid stations,
Hmm.
right? For an ultra. Same thing, same exact thing. You could, you know, fear the chair, because if you sit down in an aid
Yeah.
station in an ultra, it's probably a chance you might not
You
get
might get
back
back
up.
up. Yeah.
And if you do spend too much time there, you run the risk of not making cutoffs and
Disqualifying.
all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff
Yeah.
like that. So it's interesting. Like I know also I did a few sprint triathlons where it was like, look, if you're going to do anything, practice that swim to bike, the bike to run transitions,
Hmm.
all that in between stuff versus like, okay, I only have this much time to train and I'm going to try to squish all that in there and everything. But I mean, I think it's really cool. I probably don't think I would ever attempt to do one just because I'd be starting from scratch.
Yeah.
But it sounds awesome.
Yeah.
It sounds like a
And you do see
cool,
people that are just like, hey, you know what? I like there was a time and place where a race would be announced in July and it's not till November and tickets are available that entire time frame. Now it's like they announced New York and it's sold
yeah,
out in a matter of
yeah,
days.
yeah,
Because the affiliates are starting to get first come first serve and it's crazy. It's just growing, and I'm sure down the road it'll fade a little bit. And they don't announce the entire season up front, so it's like, hey, you know what? We're gonna give you our October, November, December races, and they're available. So you don't know what the
what's
future's
coming.
like. So like, if I look at a race where I'm like, hey, you know what? Like, I don't need to fly to New York. We're like, they're actually gonna come to Chicago and they're gonna come to St. Louis. I mean, I'll just wait till that. But you don't know that. You don't know that schedule yet. So it's kind of like they're just hanging it right in front of you and be like, hey, we're gonna go to Dallas though, and it's right now. And you'll see people that like, oh man, I just signed up last month and I just came out and give it a shot. It's like, well,
Yeah,
you just did. Just imagine like if you were a CrossFitter and you just went to class every day, that whole day, like you did the 5 a.m. class, 6 a.m. class, the 9 a.m. class, the
yeah,
12 p.m. class, 4, 5, and 6. That's what a HYROX would feel like. Just do your hardest class and then just do it every time they offer it, and then you're gonna realize what you're kind of getting yourself into by not training. So, and that's kind of what I say. Right, I have an off season, so I ran Houston. That's where I set my PR, and there were still races available. You can almost race HYROX year round in the
yeah.
United States. But I trained the second I crossed the finish line from the BIX in 2024. It was let's go. And I trained July, August, September, October, race Chicago, race Dallas, November, December, ran Vegas. Just dealt with cramping. I mean, it's one of those things where it's just like the marathon. Like you could be super fit and then just something happens, like a
The race
GI
day.
issue
Yeah,
or yeah, a cramp or whatever. Cramped up really bad, had to hit an aid station, and then a month later I ran ran Houston and ran a really good race. I was very proud of myself. Another thing like with HYROX is like the layout will always be a little different. Like the stations are not always 1 through 8. Sometimes the way the course is laid out is just not like sometimes you run a marathon and it's 3.36
Yeah,
miles or
yeah,
3.5 or 26. I'm sorry, 26.5 miles,
yeah, yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
So like the time could be different. You might
Yeah,
have
it's not
moved through
identical. It's
faster,
like a
but
baseball
like
field.
yeah, so you're
Yeah,
never
I get it.
guaranteed a time, but you are guaranteed an effort. And
Yep,
like my time in Houston was like one of my best efforts.
that's cool.
And I was like, you know what, if you told me to rest 2 hours and do this again, I probably could. And that's
Yeah.
where I knew like training was going in the right way because like I wasn't destroyed. But then you said the sprint try. I really focus on that in my off season. It's like, all right, I'm gonna build my running mileage up. I'm gonna build my cycling. I'm gonna learn. I love telling people about how bad I am at swimming because it
Yeah.
makes them feel like I'm like, yeah, I do all these things, but like I can't swim
I
100 meters unbroken. I'm
yeah.
like, I'm as athletic as it gets, but like I have all this endurance, but swimming is a
Yeah.
skill.
Yeah.
And this is the time that I can go be bad at it. My daughter loves to swim, and I'm like, I'm putting myself, I can't just continue to put myself in environments that like, well, I'm going to shine here. I'm going to do this because I know I'm going to be good at it right away. I'm like, and now all of a sudden, like 2 years down the road, I can swim like 500 meters unbroken.
Yeah.
And I did a sprint triathlon and like standing in that sand for the first time last year at the QC triathlon.
Yeah.
I was like, I might not live this, but the
Yeah.
feeling
Oh my
is the
God.
feeling is honestly kind of cool though. And it's like
Yeah.
that. It's like when I quit drinking. It's like I walked in that gym and I was like, hey man, I got a problem and I need and like sometimes I get so consistent with my training where I'm like, you lose that feeling of like, not every day is fun. Not every day is like,
Yeah.
oh man, I
It's
get to
work.
wake up and go push a
Right.
sled around.
Yeah.
But then you stood in that sand, I have to get in the water. I'm like, well, the second I get in this water, the only way I'm getting out of it is if I swim down there and I swim
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
I'm not confident that I can do that, but it was a good feeling. And it made me learn. And I had to start talking and be coachable. That was one of my biggest things, just be coachable. I'm talking to clients that I'm teaching to do HYROX, and I'm asking them like, "Hey, will you teach me how to swim?"
Yeah.
Like it's like I've got like it's like Heidi Parkhurst. Like she's a client of mine, and she just gives me and I think she's 59 or 60 years old, and she ran 3 HYROXes last year. And a year ago, probably this time, like she couldn't even do a walking lunge. And
Wow.
now she's doing 35-pound sandbag walking lunges. She's doing wall balls, or where she could not do a parallel. She couldn't break
That's
parallel
pretty
squat
cool.
and
That's really cool.
and she put herself in a mass. I'm talking about a sprint triathlon. I'm talking about swimming for 10 minutes. She put herself in a whole new environment,
Yeah.
but she comes from a triathlon background, so the time domain did not really affect her. I'm like, Heidi, you have to learn every single
Yeah.
one of these 8 modalities that you've never done before. And she's like, let's go. I'm
Yeah.
down. Like, take my
Yeah.
money. Like, I'm like, okay, well then I need to learn how to swim. Like,
Yeah.
I can't just keep doing things that like make me look good. And I get in the water with her and I'd swim one length of the pool. I'm like, I'm I'm
Yeah.
dying. I'm dying, man.
Yeah, I did. I hated it. And my kids were both really good swimmers too, and I just was in awe. Like I never swam. We had a pool when I was younger and when I was a kid, but it was like just for fun, right?
Yeah.
But I think the one thing I did learn about the swimming was it's it's hard to say. It's like running. You need to be relaxed. If
Hmm.
you're, like this and
Hmm.
you're struggling and you're trying to, you're gonna
Yeah.
kill
Yeah.
yourself. The
And that's what I
relax.
teach
It's
with all my
hard to relax
runners.
in a sprint try though
Yeah.
because people are,
And you're
kicking you
racing, and
and
there,
you're
yeah, there's people, and
racing.
that was my biggest fear was like having a little bit of like touchy feely anxiety always. Knowing that like, okay, I swim in a pool. I'm going to probably touch something in this water, and something's going to touch
Yeah,
me in this
yeah,
water, and
yeah,
that's going to take my heart rate out
yeah,
the roof.
yeah,
So same thing again.
yeah,
Community is everything, and so I invested in some swimming equipment,
yep.
and everyone's just like, "Hey man, we're gonna go out to this lake. You're gonna come with us. I got
Mm,
a buoy for you,
nope.
and we're gonna be with." But like the whole moral is like the community was there, and it was like you talk about whole like, "Hey, if you can't run 8 minute mile pace, like don't come run with us." Like these people I swam with were swimmers, and they're like, "Hey man." Like I don't want you to think that like you're ruining my training or like we want you here. We want to you've helped us before. We want to help you.
Yeah, that's
And so
cool.
here I
That's
am,
really
like
cool.
I'm in a safe environment. I've got a wetsuit on and I've got a waist buoy on. And they're like, hey, we're gonna stop probably every like 45 seconds, and we're gonna stop up and we're gonna re-meet as a team, and we're gonna keep on going.
Yep.
And then when you're done, yeah, probably some people will probably still go out and swim, but like you need to be in this environment. We want you here. And that kind of goes a long ways to where like people are like, oh, I want to join Kosama, I want to join Orange Theory, but I'm afraid that one day it's like, dude, those people want you there. And if you got to tap out and take a break, whatever, like it's better than not showing up. And I hope that you're able to get yourself out of that fear of like, I'm just not gonna go.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that person.
Yeah.
It's like I'm still that person. I've overcame all these obstacles, blah blah, and then I went and found something like swimming. I'm like, well, we're starting all over again because I have no idea how to do this, and
Right.
nothing I'm doing right now complements it. I mean, maybe not right now. Maybe my endurance down the road was like when I become more efficient in the water, like my running fitness will eventually will maybe roll over a little bit. Maybe it won't. But I like putting myself in environments now that I'm scared of and I'm bad at, and I have to relearn. Compared to like I would never do that in the past, just for the fear of judgment. So
Yeah. One last question for the HYROX topic. Is there a specific like is there a shoe that you have is it you know what I mean? Because you're gonna be running, but then you also want to have something that has some kind of like grip or traction for the pushing and the pulling. Like what
amazing
I
question.
mean, I don't know.
It is something I obsess on, and there are people
Okay.
that are making a living on Instagram and YouTube based on like high rock shoe reviews. I mean, there's marathon shoe reviews. We're in a world now where um, the shoe that you race on, especially since they did switch over to their own kind of turf,
Yeah.
um, you need things that can go side to side. You need things that can grip. You want things that are fast. I have ran in shoes that like I know I'm going to sacrifice a little bit on maybe the push, but it's a softer shoe, so it's going to absorb the damage when I get back out on the run. Because if I run in like say like for example, if I ran on like a track flat,
Yeah,
like hey,
yeah.
you know what this thing's got, like, I'm just making up like a track shoe
Yep.
where like hey, this shoe is got a 2 millimeter drop on it. It's got a little bit of rubber on it, but it is snappy, it is fast. I'm like, yeah, but you just got done pushing a sled. Your legs are absolutely flooded. I need something that when I get back out on that run, it's soft and it's going to take a little bit of the damage a little
Yeah.
bit, and my legs are going to start recovering. Compare, and I did a race in Chicago, my first PR, and I ran in the On Cloud Boom Echo 3, which is very snappy and has a really good stretch of rubber on the bottom. It performed really well, but
Yeah.
every time I got back out on the run, it felt like I was running barefoot. I'm like, oh my God. So I did switch over to a very max cushiony shoe that did had a little bit of rubber on it. But when I got into that wall ball and my legs are tired, like the shoe stability was
Yeah,
not
yeah,
good.
yeah.
And when I got into the lunge, I dropped down and there'd be a little bit of
Yeah.
hip wiggle, but my it was the best run I ever had. So my run, because I was able to go out there and because the shoes were so soft and squishy, um, I was able to recover a little bit more on the run than I was in the past, but I sacrificed probably time and station. So I would say the shoes that you have on, like the Brooks, like a Brooks Ghost or Brooks Adrenaline,
Yeah.
it's just the best of both worlds. It's a soft shoe and it has phenomenal rubber on it. For me, I know like the Saucony Endorphin
Yeah.
Pro
Yeah.
Speed.
Yeah.
It's just a go-to shoe. It's got a full slab of rubber on the bottom. It's got either some sort of nylon or carbon fiber plate. If you're looking for speed,
Yeah.
but if you're just looking for, you know what, I want to buy a shoe that I can train in, I can run some mileage
Yeah.
in,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
just find like a really good cross trainer, like the Nike Pegasus,
Oh
The
yeah.
Brooks Ghost,
Mm-hmm.
the Saucony Guide.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want you, like I said, I did do a race in a pretty bouncy shoe. You don't want that because like you have to be able to corner. You have to be able to corner. You have to be able to squat. You have to be able to lunge. And if you have this max cushiony shoe on that has this massive plate in it, and it has
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a 38 millimeter heel and a 32 millimeter, like this massive drop. Like you need to be able to be stable. But yeah, the last thing you want to do is find something that's like very slick, and you get into the sled and you
You
can't
can't
move it.
push.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's where that could be a limiting factor. Is like, hey, I'm super fit, and then all of a sudden your race goes to crap because your shoe choice was poor. So do your research.
Yeah.
Not going to say what shoe it was, but we definitely demoed a shoe that I was very interested in doing my next HYROX in, and I ran in it last night, and I was like, you know what? It's not for me. Great
Okay.
shoe,
Yeah.
but it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Um,
I just had that same kind of experience. I saw the Glycerin Max,
yeah,
and I was a Hoka guy forever. I was Saucony, but I was originally Brooks Adrenaline like number
yeah,
one, and ran in it till I started switching to Hoka. But anyway, the Glycerin Max, I'm like, oh, let me give this a try. Way too much,
yeah.
and I need more stability of a shoe. I had like a couple of foot injuries, and I ran my long run last week in them, and I'm like, I'm gonna just hurt myself.
Yeah.
So I like them, but like you're saying, just you got to test it out, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I bought the New Balance, it's like the Fuel Cell
Fuel cells.
V3 or
Yeah.
something like that. Holy
It's all
shit!
over the high rocks field.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, dude,
Yeah.
that thing I ran just a recovery 3 miler the other day, and I was like, it was making me run
Yeah.
faster. I was like, holy,
That
could that
and if
carbon
you
plate?
take that shoe and you turn upside down, it's a very wide forefoot with
Yeah,
a ton of black rubber on the bottom. So if, another thing you want to put into consideration is what the heel looks like. So a lot of shoes have these nice flimsy heel. You put yourself in a sled push situation, and
yeah,
like I love the asymmetric speed, but they have those kind of heels where it's like if you were to push a sled. I mean, obviously they're not making shoes to be pushed in sleds. They're
right,
making shoes and
right.
running. But you want to have a shoe that you can lock the heel down in because when you start pushing that sled, your heel will come right up. So. But I would say when I first watched like HYROX videos like 2020, 21, like the Brooks Ghost and the Adrenaline, that was a pretty popular
Really?
shoe.
Okay.
Puma has definitely gone down the line of like we are making HYROX shoes, so something that's got like a nylon plate, something that has a little bit of absorption in it. But it's a very good foundation. You could train it, you could deadlift in it, you could do box jumps in it, and you could run like a 5K PR in it, something like that. So Puma has definitely gone all in the sport of high rocks for sure.
I think you mentioned that earlier on
Yeah,
about they were a sponsor or they're
they're
big,
huge.
big in
Yeah,
it now.
huge, huge, huge. It is a money making
Yeah,
machine for sure.
that makes sense. That
Yeah, I mean, like 185 bucks, you get a little patch at the end, and all the merch is like you have to buy it.
oh, really?
And
Yeah,
but it's again, it's like if it ain't broke, don't fix it because your races are selling out in 48 hours, and
right.
if you don't have to give it away, then why should you? So.
Yeah,
But
man.
But yeah,
Well,
for me, it allows me to feel athletic. And you definitely, if you find yourself enjoying high rocks, you'll realize that you just won't get bored in training. For
yeah.
me, I do like to kind of be like a Monday is a recovery aerobic day, Tuesday is like a double threshold day, Wednesday is a father day because so it's like it is whatever I get in. Thursdays are a track workout. Fridays are probably like a class. Like I just need like some enjoyment. Like I'm just gonna do class.
Yeah,
Class will
yeah.
get it done for me today. Saturday, Sundays are long. Where sometimes it's just like you're not going to get bored. Like, you're probably not going to get bored. Like, you know what? Hey, man, I've got my kids this weekend. I'm not able to go out and run my 10-mile long run, but I've got my gym in the basement. I've got a salt bike. Salt bike is the number one tool for high rocks training, I would say. You can build an absolute aerobic threshold monster on a assault bike. All right, well, you're not going to lose any fitness. Yeah, you didn't get the running in, but like, let's just go do some metcons down in the
Yeah.
basement and don't obsess. Like, we're like, hey, you know what? I'm running an ultra, and all of a sudden I sprain my ankle and I'm out for 2 weeks. I'm like, okay, like we can get your core stronger, we can get you on the assault bike too,
Mm-hmm.
but like you might lose a little bit of fitness because your event is running. Your event is running for a long time. Where it's like, hey, you know what? Like I just don't really have running in me this week. I'm like, all right, well, let's work on your burpees, let's work on your wall balls, let's just do some cycling. Like it just you don't have to hit a certain, and that's why I try to stay off Strava. Is like you follow some good high rocks guys that are out there running 50K a week, and I follow some high rocks guys that run like 20K a week, but
Yeah.
they're all that's just like I've got to go down my lane. My lane for me and what makes me the best athlete that I can be. So, and it's periodized. Like I said, I go through, if I was pushing a sled 52 weeks out of the year, like I would probably never race well because I'm just going to be tired all the
Yeah.
time. So, March, April, May, June, I didn't touch a sled. I just rode the bike. I stayed on the treadmill. I went out and I did like some 5K training plans and jump back into some road racing, did some sprint tries. And like took it easy on my body, and then because I know it's a stressor. I mean, high rocks is a pretty big stressor on the body, but if you do it right, you should be able to enjoy it the best that you can.
All right, so let's end with this. If
Yeah,
somebody is interested, they hear this and they're like, "Hey, I want to go do it. I want to try it. I want to see about signing up for one or whatever." What do you recommend they do?
find a training program.
And wait, do
They
you have
are.
one?
I
I
do.
mean,
So
sorry,
yeah,
it was a
I do
joke.
small group. I
Yeah.
will do small group for Chicago.
Yep.
I will do one-on-one.
Okay.
If I don't think you're for me, then I will point you in other directions. There are more like elite groups out there that are like a little on the
In the
higher.
Quad Cities?
No.
That's what I'm
Like
asking. Like, so from here,
at your phone. I mean,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, there's training apps for high rocks.
Okay.
There's one-on-one coaches. I'd have to say that 3 years ago, everyone that was on the elite level was working a 9 to 5, and now their job is I get
That's
paid to run
crazy.
high rocks, and I train people to do high rocks. So, and that's where I just don't think 3 years ago you couldn't tell someone that the way you were training was the right way because it was so new.
Yeah.
You're watching elite racers run a 65-minute high rocks 4 years ago, and now these guys are running like 53 something. So some people out there are finding the right avenues to training. Um, but for me, it's just I have my book of experience.
Yep.
I know what I can do is right,
Yep.
and I have a gym with an affiliation,
Yep.
which is nice. Working under affiliation is nice. You have some resources through them, and you also are able to kind of say that I can do some things that other gyms can't do in here, like using the brand of HYROX,
Yeah.
which is nice. So yeah, when once Chicago is released, I will do an online small group, which is just you can either come train with us or I can train you out of your other gym.
Nice.
Equipment obviously being required. And that's just it's one-on-one or small groups, so groups of like 3 to 4 that are going to kind of be more similar to what your capabilities are doing,
Okay.
and so there's some
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
accountability
Yep.
there.
Yep.
And then I do train some people one-on-one virtually. So
Awesome. No, that's really cool. And I guess I do have one other last question. You mentioned the categories of like pro and the open.
mhm.
Is there age categories?
So yeah, everything is an age group.
Okay.
There's elite, then there's age group. So me,
Okay.
I'm in like 35 to 39. So of course I'm in the hardest, the most highest
Yeah.
endurance age group. Like
Yeah.
these guys either came from like elite track and field, or these
Yeah.
guys are like, hey, you know what? I just don't qualify for the CrossFit Games anymore. So I found High
I'm a,
Rocks.
yeah.
40 to 44 for me, I feel like is where if I was 40, I would be a little bit more competitive. But I like being where I'm at, and I'm like, hey, you know what? I know I'm racing against the best of the best here. Usually, like the fastest times when they're posted, they're all 35 to 39.
Yeah.
Where like the 20 to 24, 25 to 29, like some of these kids are probably a little bit more focused on maybe other sports,
Yep.
or they just haven't built that endurance engine yet. So their times are usually just a little slower, even though they're younger, they might be more athletic, but like it's just a new sport.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, like I said, so when you do doubles though, I tell people like, well, I'm just gonna go do it with a partner. I'm like, yeah, you guys get to split the stations, but you have to do the run together. So
Oh.
that's a little bit different than some other like fitness races out there where it's like, hey, you do one lap, I'll stay here,
Oh
then I'll
no.
go
So
do a
you do
lap.
both
In High
running.
Rocks, you have to do the runs together, but then you can split the station. So you
Uh.
ski 500 meters, I take a
Yeah.
break.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there is a little bit of there's an introductional level there, but
Yeah.
there's also a competitive level there. So
Yeah.
you see some people that are like, hey, you know what? I'm not going to run the individual, but I'm running with a partner, and you just see them flying
Oh
around the
yeah. I
course.
bet.
And then there's the mixed relay, which I tell people, I'm like, hey, if you are really a newbie and you're just like, I want to be out there, I just have to go see it. That is teams of 4, and you're all responsible for 2 runs and 2 stations. So you could go out and do the
Okay.
first run, and then you do the skier,
Yep.
tag, that person's it. And then now you're not maybe running until the run before the wall ball. So you do stations 1 and run 1, and then you do run 8 and station 8. And that way you get to do 2 kilometers of running, and you get to do 2 functional
Yeah.
fitness
Yeah.
stations.
Oh, cool.
And again, you'll also see
Yeah.
that like on the elite, like they have like they love world records. So it's like, hey, like tonight you're gonna see 4 of the top elite guys in the High Rocks. They're gonna do the relay, and you're gonna see them run like 4 minute mile pace, and they're skiing at like 125 per 500, and they're just going as fast as you can. Or you just see people like, hey, you know what? I'm just going to jog this lap, and
Yeah.
I want to try to push a sled, but I don't want to be responsible for the entire race. So yeah, there's
Oh, that's
opportunity
cool.
for everybody there.
Didn't know that. That's awesome. All right. Well, I really appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, man.
Thank you for sharing your
Yeah,
story. I hope people get something out of it because it's pretty cool to see. And good luck.
yeah. Thanks, man.
So thank you.
Appreciate it.